Chapter 101, All-Stars, Battle of the 60E. After the match against IG, NXG entered a packed 2-week stretch, March 31st. Playing purple side against LM with Jiang Ming back on the coaching staff, the 5 players swept their opponents in 20 minutes. The only surprise was that support Pangran's Thresh earned the MVP, just when people thought NXG had exposed most of their strategies and rivals could start copying them. Their unconventional setup, a solo AD in bottom and an early roaming support pairing with the jungler, had already silenced a lot of doubters in the LPL. April 4th, NXG faced their old qualifier rivals, PE. Because it was a Monday, attendance was low, but Jiang Ming, contrary to his usual aloofness, took the mid lane again. Viewership spiked immediately. Many people even skipped work to watch. After a dominant 26-minute dismantling, PE left the stage without much ceremony. April 2nd. NXG met OMG, mockingly referred to around the league as the Dark Force, the Big Boss, and the Debt Collector Little Brother. Many expected Jiang Ming to sub back in against OMG's top-tier mid laner. Instead, he stood behind his players in a suit, calm and collected as the team's head coach. The long-hyped top-tier mid laner showdown quietly disappeared once OMG's Nexus exploded 30 minutes in. OMG's ability to last that long wasn't because their mid was unstoppable, it was because Gogoing's top lane was on fire, winning a solo against Song Yuan, and because OMG's jungler kept ganking. NXG found themselves with a collapsing lane and a mid-game disadvantage. But it was precisely then that viewers witnessed how terrifying NXG could be in a deficit. Shrewd defensive vision control, carries always finding farm, refusing fights they didn't need, and trading resources intelligently. Whenever OMG took one objective, NXG found another to even the scales. Despite a huge top lane disadvantage, NXG stayed close in gold. After back-and-forth mid-game skirmishes, they caught up. An ambush around Baron netted OMG's jungler and Nashor, completing the comeback. NXG rolled to 6 straight wins and sat atop the standings with an undefeated record. Fans weren't anxious anymore. Next weekend, NXG would play BE, and everyone assumed Jiang Ming would be in the lineup. There was a reason for that. Fist had just announced a special event. Fist announced, "Hello, Summoners. We are pleased to announce the first League of Legends All-Star event, May 24-26, 2013, at the Shanghai Grand Stage. Top players from LCS.NA, LCS.EU, China LPL, GPL, and OGN will compete. Here are the selection process and rules." The Shanghai All-Stars were a major international event co-organized by Fist, Tencent, and the Shanghai municipal government to expand LOL's influence in China. Fist sweetened the pot by offering an extra slot to the S3 Global Finals for the champion region. But they also introduced a strange selection rule. Players would be picked by fan votes in each region. The most popular players, as voted by fans, would form their region's all-star team. "We believe this selection method will ensure the most skilled and popular players gather on the all-star stage," Fist claimed. In practice, this was popularity, not pure strength. Wii's massive fanbase dominated the top of the vote tallies. Because Fist limited participation to no more than 3 players per team, the remaining slots fell to IG's top and support, and the LPL All-Star roster ended up oddly configured. By contrast, OGN's 5 chosen players were indisputably the strongest available. In LPL viewers' eyes, JM needed to play WE that weekend and beat Ruofeng head-to-head to secure the mid-lane all-star spot. If he didn't, WE's fans might push Ruofeng forward on the argument of champion mid-laner or simply outvote everyone by sheer numbers. Jiang Ming had to compete. The all-star vote affected the S3 World Championship slot and regional pride. He couldn't let the LPL repeat past mistakes. There was also a practical angle. If NXG wanted more attention and backing from authorities and sponsors, they had to show results when opportunities came. The All-Star event was a rare chance to prove the region's strength on a big international stage. And besides, Jiang Ming had been thinking about the PR side since the IG match. "Matches aren't enough. We need other channels to drum up votes," he'd told his team. That same day, YY delivered the opportunity to them. All members streaming? As soon as Song Yuan asked, he smacked his forehead. Their new contract clearly included clauses about live streaming. "Yes, Muxin, who's your team leader, will run a basic live streaming training session later. YY is still working on promo posters. Streaming starts tonight." Chen Muxin's role went beyond team leader. On a small club like NXG, she handled coordination, management, and much of the day-to-day work. Jiang Ming had thought ahead, give her more temporary responsibilities so her pay could grow as the club did. For a recent graduate, food and lodging, social insurance, and a salary north of 4,000 yuan was a very decent starting package. If the club grew, she'd grow with it. The players paused their ranked games. Training and responsibilities were part of life at NXG now. Xu Jing had initially complained privately, but a scolding from his sister, who'd been admitted to Renmin University, had shut him up. "This is called self-improvement," she'd told him. "Where else would a company hire you and give you free career planning?" After that, Xu Jing, normally the most restless, became one of the most diligent in training. "Broadcast settings and parameter adjustments will be taught by someone later," Chen Muxin said, her notebook marked in red. Now the precautions. First, follow the law and platform rules. Respect intellectual property. Don't spread rumors and avoid inappropriate remarks. Especially avoid inappropriate remarks, she emphasized sternly. Jiang Ming had insisted the night before that players' words mattered. NXG didn't need vulgarity or cheap shock to attract fans. In the early, Wild West era of esports, flippancy and crude humor could get quick popularity, but they weren't sustainable. NXG's advantage was that, with Jiang Ming and the team behind them, they already had attention. Esports players' primary job was to win. Honors and championships would drive viewership. If players were also entertaining, that only helped. Second, fair play. Respect teammates and opponents. Follow game rules. Do not maliciously exploit bugs. No swearing at teammates. No intentional passive play. No AF King. Severe violations mean immediate termination by the club. Understood. Pang Ran, Song Yuan, and the others replied automatically. AFK and flaming were habits they'd had before turning pro. Muxin added details about maintaining the team image on stream and speaking techniques. Cover your in-game IDs. Don't log into personal social accounts from your stream PCs. Use your phone for private messages. Protect your privacy. They sat upright and listened carefully. The contract explicitly tied their monthly pay to base salary plus bonuses plus streaming income. This training was directly related to how much money they could earn, so no one took it lightly. "Come help," Lin Jingyi's voice came from the base entrance. The manager struggled to push a large box into the training room. The players rushed over. "One box is enough. 2 people handle it. The rest of you go to the entrance and help Zhou Shu," Muxin said, standing up to assist. She teased Lin Jingyi. "You should have hired temp labor or called Xiao Song and the others. Weren't you afraid of hurting your back?" "It's okay. We should save money where we can and not interrupt the team's training." Lin Jingyi wiped her brow. She handled much of the club's operations and preferred not to bother the players unless necessary. Soon, the boxes were in the cramped training room. Lin Jingyi explained, "These are snacks from sponsors, and the box on the right contains gaming peripherals from Logitech. For tonight's team stream, you'll replace your peripherals with the ones from the box. Snacks are team benefits. If you get hungry before mealtime, take some, but don't treat snacks as a meal." There will also be a product promo segment. The club's network consultant will set up a link in each of your streams. For every product sold today, you'll get a commission. Jiang Ming walked in at that moment. He watched the slightly tense faces relax and told them, "Streaming and promotions are part of your professional path. They can bring material rewards, but don't let them become everything. Don't let petty gains blind you. Fans watch because of your performance and your honor. If you don't have those, everything else is a hollow image. Understand?" "Understood," the 5 answered in unison. Jiang Ming smiled. "Don't feel overwhelmed. I'll stream with you tonight to help drive traffic. How much money you make from promos depends on your own appeal." He added, in his father's familiar tone, "And don't forget to campaign for the all-star vote. Whether you make it or not is another matter, but at least don't be invisible in popularity." "Hey, of course. Mingi, I'll campaign hard. I want to go to All-Stars with you and bring honor to our country." "Forget it, old Shu. You're the least hopeful among us. Really, going against Wei Xiao for the same slot is just too tough. Don't worry, brother. We'll help campaign for you. Put effort in for your share, too." Shu sank a little inside. He just realized how brutal fandom politics could be. When the All-Star voting opened, Wii's fan power shocked the LoL community. The tallies read: top lane, Wii Cao Mei, 10,233 votes, IGPDD, 2,444, NXG Norsha, 1,433, Royal Club Shen Chao, 1,299, Junglu Noyen, 10,777, NXG Stone, 3,266, Mid lane, NXG JM, 77, 2 Ro Feng, AD Wei Xiao, 4,320Z, Support, Wei Duan Mao, 11,000 G Door, 5,522, IG Xiao Xiao, 2,022. Attached was a screenshot of the vote count from that year. Newer players might not grasp the terror of 60E. Seeing 4WE players at the top drove the LPL audience wild. What the? Are these votes cast by feet? Lol. LPL All-Star Team, 7-0. NXG only gets their mid laner on the list. Careful posting that, you'll get flamed. Fist did say fans should pick players by popularity and skill. I get popularity, but what about skill? How is top laner Cao Mei ahead of PDD and Norsha? This is ridiculous. I don't mind Wei Xiao taking AD, but the rest is a joke. For casuals, if you swapped one mid laner, it would be Wii's lineup at the top. By the way, Wii's current league rank is 4th. There are only 8 teams in LPL. It's completely upside down. Wii fans even want to push JM out. Are you serious? Not a WE hater, but this is about the S3 World Championship slot. Shouldn't we send our best players? Brothers, vote fast. Let's at least secure the mid lane. Countless eyes turned to Jiang Ming, wondering how he and NXG would campaign. Chapter 102. JM, you wouldn't want to miss the All-Star game. Right. That morning, well before noon, every player who followed NXG's official Weibo received a back-end notification. NXG Electronic Sports Club. Hello NXG fans and summoners. To promote better interaction with our players, NXG will hold its first full-team livestream on the YY platform tonight at 7 p.m. The team will walk you through advanced techniques for each position used in pro matches. We hope you'll tune in and support us. Also, repost this announcement for a chance to win a randomly signed NXG team jersey. The moment the post went up, the NXG fan group exploded. Chats filled with excitement and teasing. Oh my, is the whole team streaming tonight? 7 p.m., I'm off work, count me in. Night shift scum here. I hate those capitalists. Does whole team include JM, that dead pigeon? It should. He needs to campaign for All-Star. Would be hilarious if Ruo Feng passed him. JM, you wouldn't want to miss the All-Star game, right? Japanese fan upstairs. Tone it down. Since NXG qualified for LPL, JM streams less, and his tutorial videos have dropped off a lot. Advanced pro techniques. Want to learn how Shadow Stream Lord beats Weapon Master. I just want to know how to stably survive pressure with Kog'Maw. NXG jersey is mine. In 2013, when communication platforms were still limited, Sina Weibo was the preferred place for fans to interact with their idols. When NXG posted, comments and reposts shot up immediately. The YY platform quickly followed, hastily making posters and pushing pop-ups. YY, summoners, assemble, LPL's rising squad. NXG will be live in YY Room at 7 p.m. tonight, bringing rank matches, secret tactics, and an absolute feast of practical knowledge. Don't miss it. Repost for a chance to win. The YY promo had its reasons. Jiang Ming hadn't planned a big announcement for NXG's first full-team broadcast. NXG hadn't done enough yet to warrant a grand reveal, but Xu Tao had persuaded him. Results are the present. A 7-game winning streak matters. With YY promoting it, the live broadcast, advertised as a breakdown of advanced position techniques, stirred the NXG fanbase and spread fast through the League of Legends community. It was the weekend. College students who'd planned an all-night Rift binge sprang out of bed and sprinted for the nearest internet cafe. They feared being late and losing seats, or being stuck as all-night guardians, watching over a friend who'd given up halfway through and desperately needed a bucket of instant noodles to keep going. Many started calling friends in group chats to save spots. This was still before League of Legends hit its absolute peak. Within days, internet cafes across the city would be packed, and Summoner's Rift occupancy would skyrocket. At the entrance to a university town in Madu, a handful of guys ran full tilt down the road. Damn it, Lao Jiang. Hurry. If we're late, there'll be no seats left. I'm running. I haven't sprinted this fast since my 1500 meter in gym class. It's Xia's fault. He said a few girls from Policy were coming and made us wait for them to do their makeup. Makeup? By the time they finish, the flowers will be wilted. You don't actually think something will happen tonight, do you? Esports don't need romance. The Wuju path. Cut off emotional ties. Got it? Let's Xia wait then. If I pick up 1 or 2 tricks from JM tonight, platinum is close. Deal. Whoever screws up tonight is the grandson and buys the dorm food for a week. Solid. No problem. If the jungler doesn't come top, I'll carry. They were loud, but this was a university town where public chatter like this was normal. The NXG broadcast was only a catalyst. League itself had the pull. On the professional side, teams gunning for LPL dominance reacted even more intensely. NXG's 6-game winning streak and leading tactical concepts made every scrim partner nervous. If NXG was streaming, they wanted to learn. Scrims were cancelled, and captains woke teammates early from vacation to prepare. Time flew. By evening, the NXG training room on the club's first floor was prepped. The streaming PCs had been configured by the club's tech support invited by Lin Jingyi. The settings were complex but handled. The 5 NXG players, clean and in their new jerseys, sat in their chairs. Zhang Ming, wanting to avoid making the players uncomfortable on their first team broadcast, stayed upstairs on the 3rd floor. Ahem, Lao Shu, check if my face is clean, Song Yuan said, suddenly nervous as broadcast time neared, peering at the camera. Xu Jing rolled his eyes at his top laner. Adjust your chair. Half your head's out of frame. Are you planning to broadcast ghost stories? And don't forget to install the screen recorder. Pangran cut in dryly. Brother Wang already installed it when he set up the computers. Just open it when we start. Even the usually reserved Wu Shiqiang laughed. Lao Shu, you're putting on a show, Song Yuan grumbled as he moved his seat. Almost fell for that, you dog. Anyone who didn't know would think you're a streaming expert. Hey Shito, help me gank top more tonight. Don't worry about bot, I'll buy you a late-night snack. Xiao Shito? Song Yuan leaned toward the jungler's rig. What are you doing? I'm sending the stream link to the fan group so they don't have to enter the room number 1 by 1. Awesome. The rest fell quiet, surprised that their usually quiet Xiaoto was suddenly enthusiastic about fan management. Seeing it was almost time, Chen Muxin reminded everyone, enter the stream 1 minute early. If anything goes wrong, shout in the group. OJBK, hello, can you hear us? Damn it, Pankogma, quiet. My headphones are full of your voice. Wang Fei, the tech who had configured the PCs and now served as network consultant, stepped up to tweak noise cancellation. Lin Jingyi and Chen Muxin watched as a flood of viewers entered the room once the signal connected. Brothers, we're in the right place, right? Nope, the big NXG banner is at the top of the room. Tower to base, I've landed safely. Coordinates confirmed, over. Tower received, continue to gather intel. Heh, top lane players should watch the top perspective. Feels like stacking tank items. Where's JM? We want to watch JM. Because the YY room combined comments from 5 subrooms, the chat screen filled with dense, colorful text. Chen Muxin, as room admin, pinned a message. JM's stream is waiting for connection. JM will provide play-by-play analysis of NXG players from a coach's perspective. Jiang Ming had deliberately delayed the direct feed. Viewers saw the combined chat while each player's perspective remained independent. Only JM could see everything. He wouldn't siphon viewers from his own players. With help from the YY team, he set it up so the 5 members broadcast and played while he provided an OB, observer, analysis, minimizing any damage if a player had a poor first-time broadcast. For the day's lineup, Chen Muxin posted a schedule. NXG team ranked 2, player solo queue 2, lucky audience draw and Q&A, JM's mysterious teaching. Curious viewers who'd wondered why JM's stream had been a black screen earlier shifted their attention to the schedule. The format, later overused by many, felt fresh and compelling to the audience then. Of the 5, the quickest into streaming mode wasn't Xu Jing, but Shi Zhenyu, who had quietly learned much from Jiang Ming. As a pro, you don't need to pander. Xiao Shito remembered JM saying. He answered fan questions seriously, and his popularity shot up. Stone, we saw NXG's daily schedule. Can you move the camera so we can see it? Shi Zhenyu aimed a camera at the team management rules posted on the wall and held it there. Oh my god, trypophobia warnings, some joked. The one online wasn't even the final version. Sleeping at 3 or 4 in the morning. Do they actually do that? Getting up after 11 is fine. Total sleeps 8 hours. Pros play ranked at night. Basic skill training, advanced training, review, scrims, it's all training. Does that schedule tire you? A chat asked. Shi Zhenyu rubbed his head. Of course it's tiring, but esports is our job. Mingge always says, once you choose competitive sports, talent alone isn't enough. You need sweat and tough training. Silence followed for a moment. If every team trained like NXG, maybe society wouldn't lump esports in with internet addiction. Someone wrote, Internet addiction? This is the cure. Hey, look at the rules next to the schedule. It's like working at a big internet company. Bad memories. The chat grabbed screenshots. Professional ethics, no boosting, no account sharing, no insulting opponents. I remember someone next door was a famous director in high elo. Bold. That's history. What does Director Luo have to do with my clear love? Image maintenance rule. Must wash hair every day. Lol. Can't unsee matted hair now. They banned smoking, drinking, gambling, even hair dyeing. I thought a lot of pro players were heavy smokers. I like that rule. Most esports players are kids, 15, 16. People assume pro players are like internet-addicted teenagers because of smoking and crazy hairstyles. Is that management system real? My son is addicted and wants to be a pro. If possible, I'd like him to try NXG. Is the ant for real? If so, sign him up for NXG youth training. Contact infos on their Weibo. At Dewey Base, Ming Kai went pale when he saw the chat mocking him as a director of high elo ranked games. He forced a laugh to hide it, then leaned into Abu's chair and asked, Is any of that useful? I get no staying out late, Abu said. No outside food before matches, especially beef. NXG actually manages that? Outrageous. Useful or not, write it down, Abu said in his distinctive voice. Let's see if JM's stream actually delivers useful insights. Abu had wondered why NXG, and Jiangming in particular, leaked tactics and explained things so openly. What was JM after? He had game sense above the league, but didn't hoard it. He shared it freely in interviews and videos. Was he just courting fans? Was he trying to change the scene? Abu didn't believe JM was trying to reform esports out of idealism. There was always a motive under the surface. Still, he was curious. At that moment, Jiang Ming's voice came through the live stream headset. All right, sorry for the wait. Our NXG members have just entered their first ranked team game in Ionia. Jiang Ming's avatar appeared, and the stream offered viewers a choice. Watch the individual player perspectives with independent audio, or switch to JM's analyst room for a god's eye view. Most viewers immediately chose JM's stream. Where should I start? Jiang Ming said. A habitual showman used to grabbing an audience's attention. He pretended to ponder. Okay, since we'll be doing real-time tactical review, I'll begin at the pick and ban phase. On the NXG screen, pick and ban had just started. First question, Jiang Ming said. Have you noticed something? When NXG is on the blue side, we often pick jungler first. Why do you think that is? He promised a prize. The first correct answer in chat will get a beautiful NXG item from our staff after the stream. LPL fans are no fools. Amid a tide of jokes and nonsense, someone with real insight typed, to prevent counterpicks. Exactly, Jiang Ming confirmed. Picking first on blue can lock in strong meta heroes, but purple side gets counterpick rights. If they can find a counter, they can put you in a bad spot. He continued, junglers are less impacted by counterpicks early because they start in the jungle. Even if the enemy counters them, laners can help mitigate the disadvantage. Having sparked the discussion, Jiang Ming briefly explained the advantages and drawbacks of first pick versus second pick during draft, setting the tone for the livestream's mix of tactical theory and live in-game demonstration. Chapter 103. It's important to have good equipment. So, what do you think, everyone, now that you know the pros and cons of picking blue or purple side in the draft? Jiang Ming asked, grinning to the camera. Heh, if you watched today's stream, you should have seen how to counterpick by picking later. But if you absolutely must pick first, choose champions that aren't easily countered in lane, he added. We'll have members of NXG demonstrate the pick-counter relationships for each role based on the current patch. I'll also upload a video later. Timing depends on how generous you viewers are. He winked at the camera, playing the crowd. The chat exploded with noise, jokes, gift spam, and pleas to vote in the All-Star. Isn't it just gifts? Take them, one user typed. Brother upstairs, are you crazy? Eat pork floss bread as a meal? Read another. Someone accused Jiang Ming of fishing for presents. He feigned outrage and demanded votes instead. There's an all-star link in the top right corner. Please support our NXG players, he said, while the chat alternated between mocking and enthusiastic support. My old man got the whole company to vote for you. Now hurry up and upload those tutorial videos. Rich bro upstairs is awesome, one comment declared. After steering the banter back to the team, Jiang Ming muted his stream mic. Go check out each NXG player's stream for their first-person perspective. I'll jump back later with replay analysis, he said, and cut the feed. For viewers who wanted the in-game comms of a pro team, the 5 NXG players' individual streams were irresistible. The moment they joined, followers poured in and few left. Get online quickly. Pay attention to your lanes, Pang Ran said. Do we invade level 1? Song Yuan asked. No invasion. Old song, hold. Before you come online, help Shito put a ward at F4, Pang Ran replied. The enemy mid bought a refillable potion. I can fight him at level 2. Jungler, can you look for an opportunity? Wu Shiqiang called. Bottom, ward deeper early. I need to go top first, another player added. They were new to streaming, but as soon as the game started, their training kicked in. The audience leaned in. This wasn't just casual ranked play. NXG logged into their organized team rank account, the Ionia server's top, and the viewers got to listen to real-time pro comms. The novelty electrified the chat. Jarvan started on bot side. After Krugs, he might gank top, someone warned. Mid has no flash. Can you rotate? Another asked. Caitlyn's dash is down for 10 seconds. Wait for my engage. Their first tower is down. Duo might swap top. Shito, set up an ambush. If we catch him, he's dead. The live chat went through stages. Awe, imitation, despair. No way, are we even playing the same game? JM, what kind of team did you make? I thought fundamentals were last hitting and lane control. I didn't know the pros track summoner spell cooldowns and tiny ability timers. This is the gap between us and pro teams. Their calls are clean, decisive. Everybody knows what to do. Even established pros watching elsewhere went quiet, reassessing their own standards. What impressed viewers most was not just the calls, but the speed and clarity, immediate info flow, synchronized execution, and precise tracking of everything from enemy cooldowns to jungle spawn timers. No wonder NXG's jungler always cleared more camps. They were farming the opponent's respawns. The support's role as commander, issuing concise commands and getting near-instant execution from teammates, stood out as a coordination core that couldn't just be copied by watching highlights. Not long after the game, on Ionia, the skill gap made it a short match. Jiang Ming unmuted. Hopefully you see now what I meant. In-game communication massively affects win rate. The chat exploded with agreement and also the usual complaints. Randoms don't talk, come to Zon Grand Stage if you dare, and jokes about rank climbing woes. Jiang Ming nodded at the differences between normal ranked and pro play. In ranked, if people just communicated more and shared enemy cooldowns and intentions, you'd see big improvements. But there's a real gap in expectations and execution. He wasn't streaming purely for entertainment. He was also nudging the regional scene forward. OGN had a systematic esports environment. If NXG's methods were too effective and they lost in S3, local clubs would frantically reverse engineer the style. Jiang Ming was willing to help develop the region and even publicly show some tactics, enough to grow the whole pie so more money would enter the scene. But not so much that he handed away NXG's biggest advantage. Teamfight comms are like battle orders. It's fine to discuss in quiet times, but when the fight breaks out, you need a unified voice, he said, quoting a popular meme in the chat and making viewers laugh. To keep viewership and to fulfill his poverty alleviation plan for regional teams, Jiang Ming opened the replay for analysis. New viewers, remember to click the All-Star link on the right and don't forget the NXG merch, he said, taking a playful donation between segments. Let's start with Vision, he announced, moving the replay to the top lane where their jungler had begun. He pointed to a spot marked F4. This is why we asked Blind Monk to place a ward here before clearing. If the enemy jungler starts in the top half or comes over from bot to clear here, they'll show up on this ward. Effective vision, he labeled it. Contrast that with ineffective vision, say a mid-lane ward tucked into side bushes. It's safe, but it doesn't buy you much team information early on. A ward's value comes from how much useful info it grants relative to its cost. You can also place it a bit deeper toward the red buff to river path to block a lot of enemy movements. Same for top and bot. A 10 or 20 yard difference can change what you see and what you don't. Chat filled with enlightened reactions. Ah, no wonder pro games always know where the jungler is. They buy tempo with information, and when you have tempo you snowball lanes, place deeper wards, and keep pressure unless the jungler counters you. Gifts poured in, and Jiang Ming used the moment to be cheeky. He promised deeper, role-specific warding tips on each NXG member's stream. The viewers who wanted to climb would follow them, and the players, many of whom still lived modestly, appreciated the extra income. Top defensive wards, huh? Easy, Song Yuan said, loosening up as he explained basic river bush placements. But vision can also make you complacent. Sometimes having vision is more dangerous than none at all. Xiao Shito said calmly. If the safe zone your ward gives is small, a gank that bypasses that vision can be very effective. You ask how I bypass vision so easily? He continued, scrolling through the replay. Then he lifted his mouse and grinned at the camera. Because I have good equipment. This Logitech G700S gaming mouse gives me a ridiculous edge in control, he said, making a mock commercial. It's their newest model this year. Retail 500 yuan, but only 499 if you buy it through the NXG stream. The audience went wild. Sa-ah, one comment screamed. The NXG players burst into laughter. Heh, had you guessed the team's livestream gimmick? Their first stream might have started as a tactic session, but it ended with a flourish of gear flexing and jokes, and the viewers were already lining up to follow each member for more tips. You're making me laugh so hard, I'm dizzy. Where did NXG find such a sales streamer? I want to report JM Food Moment for using child labor. From explaining camera angles in games to zero-frame starts, then switching to esports peripherals, I'm completely bewildered. Original price 500 yuan, live price 499. Good, what a genius streamer. The sponsors really struck gold with you guys. No, everyone, please don't misunderstand. For all customers who place an order in the NXG livestream today, our new mouse is instantly discounted by 50 yuan and comes with 3 maintenance gifts. Seeing the sponsor's highlighted comment, Shi Zhenyu stared blankly at the price list taped behind his computer. Ah, sorry, it looks like I put the wrong price link up. I'll change it right away. He rummaged through the boxes at his feet and pulled out several mice identical to the one in his hand. I just checked the back end. Some big brothers already placed orders directly. I'm sorry, could you please reorder? As compensation, I'll send you the team-customized version. It can be like this? I want it too. Isn't it just $4.99? I can afford that. It's only 50 yuan. Who are you looking down on? Are you really sending the customized one in your hand? Quickly say Chinese people don't lie to Chinese people. Oh ho, is this the legendary goddess of luck smiling? Xiao Shito, you're really killing me. Getting the link price wrong on stream is something else. Is this an advertising trick? Everyone watching NXG is rich. A 500 yuan mouse, that's enough for months of my internet bills to stay up all night. Brother above, top up 500, get 1,000, learn more. In 2013, 500 yuan was a lot for most league players, but some viewers had money to spare. Under Shi Zhenyu's smooth handling, sales in the team's Taobao shop climbed fast. Xiao Shito's performance left Jiang Ming, who had been watching quietly, speechless. Is this the famous innate sales prodigy? No way, this actually works? Xu Jing was dumbfounded. He'd assumed, being the only other handsome face in NXG besides Ming Jie, that he would steal the show. Instead, a dark horse had appeared. Low-key Xiao Shito was outselling everyone. Esports peripherals couldn't compete. Xu Jing's eyes flicked. An idea struck. Remembering Mingge's tutorial videos, he cleared his throat and began his own pitch. Ahem, good evening, dear viewers. It's time for the irresistible Xiao Shu's ad slot. Not 9.98, not 5.98, not even 4.98, just 48 yuan gets you a whole box of pork floss pastries or a mixed snack package of fish tofu. If more than 50 people order, Besides explaining bottom lane AD basics, Xiaoshu will give a full breakdown of Blue Ezreal's zero-frame start and anti-gank tactics for bottom lane. He lowered his voice theatrically so it seemed intimate with the audience. Blue Ezreal, is that the Mana-Moon Trinity Force combo Ez that played against Royal Never Give Up? Oh ho, can tactical ideas like that really be taught? Order, order. Brothers in the stream, one for each of us. We must all get one. Hey JM Food Moment, quick, your streamer is selling the team's secret tactics. We fans, whoosh, let's buy 2 boxes from him too, Abu said through gritted teeth. Wee's new season results had been mediocre. He needed to secure Wei Xiao's dominance in the bottom lane. Ezreal happened to be Wei Xiao's best champion. Studying NXG versus Royal Never Give Up recordings was too slow. The next match versus NXG could affect all-star voting. He didn't want mistakes. Uzi, who'd just finished a ranked game and had clicked into the YY livestream, was breathing fast. Thinking of his recent salary, he used a Smurf to tip 50 health potions, ordered fish tofu, and typed, "Sorry, besides champion tutorials, can you teach us how to prevent bottom lane ganks, especially the jungler's level 2 gank? How to stop level 2 ganks on bottom lane?" Xu Jing saw the highlighted comment, waved his hand, and replied, "You've come to the right person. I'm not the most mechanically flashy AD in the LPL, but for farming, survival in teamfights, and consistent damage output, I've inherited Mingge's training, and I'm the best." His smug grin filled the camera. Professional teams that hadn't downloaded any anti-fraud app watched and gritted their teeth, then bought snacks. Tightening their belts, they ordered 2 boxes of pork floss pastry in hopes of extracting a tactical nugget or two. The sly Jiang Ming wouldn't willingly hand over NXG's core tactics, but Xu Jing and Shi Zhenyu's audience interaction had warmed everyone up. Subtly, revealing strategy tidbits, offering team discounts, pioneering the livestream salesman role, within half an hour, fans felt they'd learned real things, teams felt they'd stolen secrets, and sponsors were happy having sold a lot and gained exposure. Jiang Ming, who'd earned pocket money from the Taobao push, was even more pleased. In YY Room 12-21, the scene buzzed. After the brief ad and sales segment, NXG members played one more ranked team game, then split into solo queues. The first half had been team-managed traffic brought by Jiang Ming. The second half would test which players could sustain live streams. After a few shows, the club would get YY's data analytics and allocate resources. Showmanship, audience retention, and online store sales determined who got the lion's share. That's how a team stayed healthy. Team-ranked matches, champion mic checks, tactic breakdowns, skill sharing, and sales interaction pushed NXG's viewership skyward. Concurrent viewers neared 300,000, and breaking that mark seemed inevitable. All-star votes rose too, especially for Jiang Ming. From the moment they started asking for votes, his count rocketed from 17,000 to over 96,000 in under 2 hours, leaving Ruofeng in second place visibly trailing. One comment had been right. Wii's voters were mostly regular match watchers, while JM's tutorial followers hadn't paid attention to all-star voting, until now. The gap in mid-lane voting grew obvious. Seeing the votes spike, Jiang Ming felt steadier. He had to go to S3 All-Star. If possible, he wanted to take 1 or 2 more NXG members. This wasn't just personal glory, it affected attention and support for the entire LPL scene. If OGN won the championship, the loss would be more than a trophy. It would dent the region's standing. Sacrificing the All-Star and watching LPL get humiliated for personal satisfaction would hurt the region. His strategic work mattered. A smaller cake can't feed anyone well. At 11 p.m., after the 5 young NXG players had exhausted most of their showmanship, Jiang Ming took the stage. The room pinned a moderator comment. "All right, dear viewers, it's finally time for JM Food Moment's mysterious tutorial segment. It's going to get even more exciting." Oh ho, a surprise this late in the stream? Good. I figured the mysterious segment wouldn't be just an extension of previous videos. Hurry, hurry, don't let anyone else see it. I want to enjoy it all by myself. It's just pork floss pastry. I'll buy it. Is that enough? Pork floss pastry in my left hand, fish tofu in my right, holding Logitech peripherals. Tell me if my support is strong enough. Several players stopped their own streams to watch the lecture. JM, you really don't treat us like outsiders. Front row seat and sunflower seeds ready. First time being coached by pros, this is weird. The 5 members finished what they were doing and clicked into Jiang Ming's main stream. The training content they were about to review was material they'd already practiced many times. This was part of a planned show to boost viewership. In marketing, Jiang Ming's forward-thinking ideas were unbeatable. Seeing the viewer count smash previous records, Jiang Ming got serious. He opened a match file, the recording of their 30th match, NXG versus IG. He planned to dissect the Z mid-lane matchup that had beaten IG's star and show how much a competent coach can influence a game. He changed the room title, reviewing NXG versus IG. JM teaches BP phase and minion wave management. Before we start, one more ad as usual. You bastard, go die. You can't stop with ads. NXG should just rename itself Advertisement Team. Half your stream is ads. Jiang Ming wasn't fazed by the angry bursts. He chuckled and said, "You're mistaking me. This ad is a benefit I secured for you all. Thanks to everyone's support, NXG Team's online snack sales have reached top distributor levels. Pam Pam, Dolly Garden, and 3 Squirrels have signed sponsorships with the NXG Club. I applied to the snack manufacturers and secured direct factory-to-store supply. In short, JM Food Moment will be independent from the NXG merchandise store, reopening as a new snack brand focusing on affordable, even low-priced items. Coke 50 cents cheaper than retail, pork floss pastry 40 cents cheaper than wholesale, fish tofu, duck paws, duck tongues, spicy strips, everything cheaper than typical stores." He pulled up a comparison chart on stream, and because it's direct from the manufacturer, we cut costs without sacrificing quality. JM Food Moment's online shop opens at midnight, and the first physical store will be at Shop 11, Jinling University City, currently under renovation. Please give us your support. Happy now? Satisfied with the ad? 2.4 yuan for a Coke? I'm in. Pork floss pastry 40 cents cheaper? Sold. If you run ads like this sometimes, we can accept it, JM. Why is the offline store at Jinling University? What about Southeast University? Woo, I love snacks. I'll buy everything if prices are like this. Break the middleman's margins, JM. We support you. With the ad done, Jiang Ming shifted tone and began the review properly. Many of you watched our match against IG last month. After that game, my DMs and comments flooded with questions about how I won mid lane against their star with Zed. So tonight, I'll do a live review and explain minion wave management and what a coach thinks about in the BP phase. Chat fell quiet, not because people left, but because everyone stopped typing and listened. First, on bans and picks, I wasn't worried IG didn't ban Weapon Master, also known by some as the Shadow Stream Lord, because S3 has many strong mid-lane champions like LeBlanc and Diana. Haha, all you pro teams hiding in this stream heard that, right? JM still has LeBlanc and Diana hidden. You can't ban them all. 3 bans aren't enough. Fist should consider 5 bans. Sit down, prophet of the stream. Jiang Ming smiled at the chat. Who would have thought a player joke would lead to thoughts of expanding bans as the meta evolved? For first pick, I secured the meta jungler Elise for Xiao Shito. Junglers, note this. Elise is queen of the jungle in the current meta. High early damage, strong gank presence, and she doesn't demand many resources. She can set the pace early, get objectives, and still contribute meaningful damage in mid to late fights from early kills and assists. The current jungle doesn't support heavy farm-dependent picks. Picking a jungler early avoids being countered. After we locked Elise, IG picked Jarvan 4 and Karthus. Jarvan 4 is fine. He can gank at level 2 and chase tempo. The issue was Karthus. Karthus. Why is Karthus a problem? Those who didn't watch the match might not know. IG didn't ban Weapon Master, and by picking Karthus early, they essentially handed me a counter. As someone who watches JM's videos a lot, I'll say this. Anyone who picks Karthus first, I can beat them even if they're 2 ranks above me. Karthus mid against Zed is a total mismatch. So I paid attention. Even if IG didn't have a coach to notice the counter relationship between Karthus and Zed, given their player's level, they shouldn't have missed it. There's a trick. Jiang Ming praised IG's drafting subtly. Better to be diplomatic. He continued, since they'd chosen Karthus as the blue side with counter pick advantage, I wouldn't let it stand. I picked Zed on our second pick, then defensively took Zyra on our third to limit Karthus's roaming and damage. Our region underestimates Zyra's support. Properly used, her impact rivals Annie's. His gaze scanned the stream. He was nudging the teams behind the viewers. You might not realize how strong Zyra is as a support, but you know how scary Annie can be when used mid to support, right? It wasn't a mistake. Xiao Xiao really prepared a big present for me. They picked their star mid, Weapon Master, in the third and fourth picks, then chose Janna to protect him and neutralize Zed. As a support, Janna with Exhaust has a knock-up, shield, slow, and her ulti provides knockback and sustain. She's a huge counter to Zed's engage. If the game drags into mid to late, with Janna shielding and a Quicksilver Sash on their carries, my ability to affect teamfights would be limited. If I can't teamfight, I can only split push, but which Zed can out-split push Weapon Master in the late game? He spread his hands in a helpless shrug. Exactly. 666. This is the national server's top brain. Does a coach really have to think of all this on stage? In a few dozen seconds, JM saw IG's whole bottom line. Now I retract my assessment of NXG. Their achievements come from real strength. Chapter 105. From this moment on, you are done for. Lao Pu, hurry up and watch the stream. Jiang Ming's reviewing your Weapon Master game. Xiao Xiao shouted toward the door, tugging at PDD's sleeve. His voice had barely faded when the training room door was flung open with a clang and a gust of wind. Everyone in the room jumped and looked up as PDD barreled in like a human cannonball. Shadow shuffled aside, small and lithe. If PDD had actually knocked into him, Shadow might have been launched straight through the wall. Oh my god, give me a spot! PDD gasped as he shoved past, flopping down in front of a monitor. He'd been stewing over how Zed had handled his Weapon Master in mid that day, and couldn't figure it out. No sooner had he sat than Jiang Ming's teasing voice came through the stream. So, after realizing Zed gets easily controlled in late teamfights and that split pushing would run straight into Weapon Master, an epic boss, defeating IG early was my inevitable plan, Jiang Ming said. In the early game, Zed can easily kill Karthus. That's basically consensus. During the draft, I assumed Karthus wouldn't be mid. Wouldn't they swap lanes? For top, I picked Eye of Twilight for Xiao Song to give him lane resilience and more support, an extra insurance layer. Heh, Fang Kuai Long, your plan was seen through from the start. My bad, my bad. I really didn't consider that Karthus just can't lane against Zed, and picking him would make them guard against a lane swap. Xiao Xiao rubbed the top of his head out of habit. Mainly, it's because those NXG guys are crazy good at lane swaps, but if they were going to swap, why didn't Jiang Ming swap mid and top beforehand? Outside the stream, neither IG's players nor the viewers questioned Jiang Ming's early read that NXG might swap lanes based on the purple side picks. Apart from the occasional WE fanboy trolls who got instantly banned, most people were listening closely to Jiang Ming's analysis. He'd built that credibility with tutorial videos and topping the national server for a year and a half. Not quite a heavenly dragon tier prodigy, but still a trusted name. On NXG's stream, Song Yuan, talking from top, explained to his viewers, when we entered the game, we asked Mingge if we should swap, but Mingge refused. He said we didn't have enough early game lane swap experience and it would make good training. You didn't swap because you were inexperienced? That was training material? PDD's face went crimson. Steam seemed to rise from his ears as if his best champion had overheated. For a moment his anger flared, but it died back just as quickly. The game was over. You can rehash mistakes all you want, but facts don't change. Zed mid had countered his Weapon Master. Calm down, let's see what he says. You always wanted to know about that minion wave from that game, Xiao Xiao said. Jiang Ming didn't miss a beat on the stream. Everyone's probably wondering how a hero matchup changes just by swapping lanes. But it does. A top laner in mid plays very differently. When PDD, a top lane specialist, goes mid, his laning becomes closer to a regular diamond player's. Chat exploded with banter and memes, then calmed when Jiang Ming continued. Let's fast forward and review the mid matchup to see where PDD's Weapon Master went wrong. He paused the replay. First principle, at the start of lane phase, you must know which champion has the early advantage. All laning decisions, and even later teamfights flow from that. Weapon Master is a fighter. Zed is an assassin. Early on, Counter-Strike blocks basic attacks, so Weapon Master loses in direct trades. Zed has small pokes. As long as he doesn't get jumped by Weapon Master, the advantage is his. So for this matchup, I chose to let the lane push. Jiang Ming explained in painstaking detail, unafraid that other teams would learn from it. Wave control isn't something you master in a couple of viewings. It's a team discipline. If one lane controls waves but the rest of the team can't, it doesn't matter. And wave control extends beyond the laning phase. When a weaker champ faces a stronger early hero, or a short-range assassin faces a long-range mage, you mustn't randomly push the lane, Jiang Ming said. At low levels, your cooldowns don't support extended trades. If you push the wave into tower, the enemy can poke you safely from range and you're always vulnerable to ganks. You'll be lost. Weapon Master ran into that exact problem. Viewers might have noticed PDD fast pushing at level 1, while I intentionally avoided minion contact, even with Q-poke. Jiang Ming showed the minion wave after their mid-phase operations, and the chat filled up with astonished comments. How do you play like that? You can't push. Pushing is an open invitation to ganks. People who'd scoffed at the idea of lane swaps began to get it. Top and mid play differently. What works on the long solo top lane doesn't translate directly to mid. PDD scrambled his hands. Oh, so that's how it was. No wonder it was so hard to farm against Jiang Ming. He made us his plaything. You were played like a pig, Xiao Xiao laughed. Jiang Ming kept going. How do you break the deadlock? Call your dad, the jungler, that is. When the lane freezes, have the jungler come and shove the wave into tower with 2 abilities. That breaks the freeze. He praised how the jungler role development had changed the game. A roaming jungler opens up countless tactical variations. I predicted IG would call Jarvan into mid to help Weapon Master. A little damage and Zed can't lane, hence the spider counter gank. The review moved through dives and turret exchanges. Time ticked. Suddenly PDD stood up and left the room. Not watching anymore? Xiao Xiao asked. No. My head hurts. Fang Kuailong, watch the rest. I'll talk to you tomorrow. PDD muttered. Kid and Zitai, 2 blunt teammates, exchanged confused looks. What's wrong with him? He's crushed because he respects Jiang Ming, Xiao Xiao said with a smirk. That's why he's sulking. At VG's training room that night, a dim glow from the monitors lit a few players' faces. They were watching Jiang Ming's stream, and occasional gasps escaped the group. Away! You really not gonna watch? Jiang Ming's mid-minion wave stuff could help you, someone called. Wei Jiang, wearing glasses, snorted. Nope. I'll play ranked instead. Minion wave stuff is just an excuse for lacking mechanical skill. If I beat someone outright in lane, none of that matters. His teammate let it be. Wei was arrogant. Then a long-haired player tugged at the glasses guy's sleeve. Look at the stream. The bespectacled mid glanced at the screen and went pale. He looked at Gade Wei, who just locked his champion, and then back at Jiang Ming's match composition. It was identical. They all had just joked about meeting Jiang Ming, and now they were matched with him. Too perfect to be coincidence. On Jiang Ming's side, he'd planned to end the stream with a ranked game to demonstrate minion waves in practice. He blinked at his teammates' IDs and stifled a laugh. We wonless. Clear love. Ming Kai was on Hecarim in jungle. Gade Wei had locked LeBlanc mid. Jiang Ming, seeing his team was all AD, picked Gragas, decisively, even if late, against LeBlanc. A short-range champion to face a long-range one. Night was deep. Some viewers were asleep, others queued for their own games, but once they saw Jiang Ming's opponents, the chat lit up. Old acquaintances, they typed. Is that Noyan? Again? He's playing his butt off, Jiang Ming. Are you eating my points again? Top, mid and jungler on the other side are top 10 challenger players. How do we even get into this game? Relax, Jiang Ming's on purple side. Advantage, ours. The 4 purple side players recognized Jiang Ming's ID and began trashing and fawning in team chat. Jiang Ming, carry us please. I'm already on the floor this game. The other team's top mid jungle are top 10 challenger. Brother, number 1 is on our side. Master, let's discuss. I'll play safe. If I don't feed, how about a friend slot? Is NXG still recruiting? I have dreams, Mingay. Jiang Ming typed back casually while buying items and heading mid. Friend slots are easy. For NXG recruiting, follow our Weibo and submit your rank screenshot and a replay. Someone asked in the chat, Minge, Gragas is melee. Starting Doran's ring against LeBlanc too risky? Jiangming went through skill choices with the stream. If you're melee versus ranged early and you have poor laning, don't mimic my Doran's ring start. Without health pots, getting forced back hurts. Boots plus pots or flask plus pots are safer. Gragas has built-in sustain. If you control cooldowns and your poke, those missing early pots aren't fatal. Now let's go live. I'll show how a melee champion farms against a ranged one. He moved while narrating, feigning forward pressure to test LeBlanc. Godaway, proud and impatient, dashed in with W. Gragas lost a sliver of health. LeBlanc last hit precisely. Godaway's face lit with excitement. He thought he'd gained the exchange. Jiangming, however, casually bounced around his minions, then stepped back and stopped last hitting as the wave met. He'd wanted the enemy melee minions to focus their attacks in a way that would make the wave push toward him, not away. When a melee champ faces a ranged champ early on, you don't fear them pushing, you fear them freezing, Jiangming explained to the stream. When the lane freezes, you often pay health to gain experience. Experience matters more than gold in the first few levels. He went on, if the enemy won't push, you have to manipulate the wave. When enemy minions focus fire on one of your minions, your melees die faster and the wave pushes. That's why I baited LeBlanc earlier. A higher-ranked viewer's explanation landed. By engineering which minions take hits, you control the lane's equilibrium. Jiangming intentionally took a small trade to influence minion aggro and get the lane where he wanted it. He didn't reveal every trick, some things he kept for his own team, but he explained the principle. Look at the melee minion focus, 3 blue side minions on 1. That's what I wanted, he said, last hitting a low-health minion. Godaway realized belatedly he'd been baited. He'd thought the dash would win him the lane outright, but instead he'd helped Gragas set the wave state. He typed in frustration, "What the hell are you pinging for?" Clearlove snorted in team chat. In League, annoying the jungler is a dangerous thing. Blue buff and mid ganks can be withheld. Ming Kai, now level 3, was checking the score and decided a top gank was a better play than wasting time on a mid that wasn't promising. The stream's live demonstration continued, minion waves and fake trades unfolding into a lesson. Viewers watched not only a game, but a classroom in action. How to manipulate wave pressure, when to call the jungler, and how lane roles change with swaps. The game would, of course, produce the famous scene everyone expected later, one of those moments that get written about and rewatched. But Jiangming knew he couldn't squeeze every legendary moment into every stream. He'd already decided live-streamed matches would appear only occasionally in the future, used as a flavor enhancer rather than the main course. Writing them brilliantly every time would be exhausting. Still, tonight's live demo had done what he'd hoped. It taught a crucial point about minion waves and left a lot of people thinking, and PDD somewhere, sulking about being outplayed and outthought. Chapter 106, What Kind of Professional? Go home and raise pigs. Hecarim has slain Malphite. Barely 4 minutes into the game, a first blood flashed from top lane. It's over. It's over. No Yan in this ranked game is spray and pray, and with Go-Going's ringtone, JM's team is doomed. This matchmaking is unfair. 3 pro players in top, mid, and jungle. 3 against 1, 0 sportsmanship. Maybe JM's just too strong? The first blood notification on Jiangming's stream sent the audience into a frenzy. But the bottom lane duo, who had been dreading picking with JM, felt their worries evaporate. A gank top was good for them. A fed Renekton in top is terrifying in early and mid-game. Even if JM was on the opposing team, 2 fists can't do much against 4 hands. Besides, their mid's ranged versus melee matchup looked unfavorable. Wait, the mid lane at a disadvantage? The duo, having adjusted their small cam, nearly popped their eyes out. The minion waves were clashing near the purple tower. Gragas had hit level 3 and had far more health than LeBlanc. The pair didn't question it too much. The earlier mid-jungle comms had implied their mid was hot-headed. With a reliable jungler now, this looked like a winnable match, so provoking LeBlanc wasn't worth it. The desire to climb ranked outweighed curiosity about lane matchups. As it turned out, LeBlanc was being suppressed. Gragas controlled the wave, last hitting perfectly under tower with Q and W and trading favorably. The worst moment came when LeBlanc used E to flash onto Gragas while he was airborne from a W and walked right into his follow-up. Gragas's Q reduced her attack speed, causing her to miss several last hits. Gragas's passive kept healing him. After 2 trades, Godaway's morale wavered, and the purple team's Xin Zhao was itching to join the harassment. Still young, the jungler quipped. On the other side, Jiang Ming eyed the half-health LeBlanc and silently compared their play. S5 veterans are confident. S3 Godaway had mechanical skill but lacked elite detail work and mental control. Now roles are reversed, viewers. Learn your early wave management, Jiang Ming explained on stream. Trade for development at minimal cost. When Gragas hits level 4 or 5, LeBlanc needs to be careful. Then he showed them. Bang! Where Godaway's pokes were obvious, Jiang Ming's barrel roll landed perfectly. The level 3 Q hurt like hell. LeBlanc took 2 of them and started to crumble. On one trade, Godaway tried to dash in with W for a QE combo and fell into a trap. The Q turned into a dancing animation, and the LeBlanc that dived under Gragas ended up taking the full damage of E. Ignite popped. Is he trying to solo kill? Chat wondered. Godaway was enraged. How could Gragas solo him when LeBlanc could still re-engage with her W second cast and the quickness? But before he could muster his rage, a brown barrel predicted LeBlanc's return and exploded on her. Her health dropped by a third. Time to fight! Jiang Ming followed his pre-charged W with an auto while airborne from E. That early basic attack mattered. Gragas' W not only reduced incoming damage by 18%, but granted huge AD. Even a single point in W at level 5 added 30 AD, comparable to expensive items early on. No mage could out-auto-attack him in early trades. With LeBlanc chained to the lane, slowed by E and pushed past the midpoint, she was too far from turret safety. Gragas' E cooldown in S3 was 7 seconds, down to 4 with CDR, so he could chase deep. Before LeBlanc reached safety, Jiang Ming had E and the quickness available again. EQ nailed her. NXGJM has slain VG We Oneless. Clearlove responded in chat with a question mark. Godaway breathed, ignored the jungler's jabs, and frantically shook his hands, trying to reset. He admitted JM wasn't the first Rofeng had been hyping. But the mid-duels just started. I'll get revenge, he told himself. Get revenge? Jiang Ming would have laughed if he'd known what the youthful S3 version of Godaway meant by that. In S3, mids snowballed endlessly. One solo kill usually meant the end. Jiang Ming wouldn't give him a second chance. He built to annoy. Doran's Ring +1 and Chalice of Harmony. Doran's gave AP, HP, and mana regen. Chalice added MR and mana regen, and a passive turning mana regen into HP regen. He basically made Gragas a lane-sustaining machine. With passive healing and mana recovery, minions became trivial. LeBlanc couldn't trade into double Doran rings and Chalice plus Gragas's passive. 2 spells barely tickled him. 2 minutes later, LeBlanc recalled on low health. Jiang Ming remembered he was streaming and kept teaching. He explained what made a gankable wave and how to set up a slow push, then left mid with his jungler to invade the enemy jungle. Why push the wave before ganking? He asked viewers. The minion wave gives you vision, and more importantly, it ties down the enemy mid. If she helps, she loses minions. If she doesn't, their jungler gets left behind. Ming Kai suffered for it. Xin Zhao burst from a brush and repeatedly stabbed Hecarim's backside. Trying to escape with E and Ghost, Hecarim was sent back to Fountain by a massive combo. At 9:07, a revived Ming Kai with his ultimate finally ganked bottom once. But soon after, an announcement popped. Gragas had scored a double kill bot. Meanwhile, LeBlanc had just finished clearing a wave and was outmaneuvered again. Jiang Ming didn't want to fight her 1v1 in lane. Whenever he cleared, he'd roam, to jungle, bot, even top at times. Junglers shouldn't complain, laners don't help if you don't check the wave first, he told viewers. This time, blue bot paid double because mid had no lane priority. Waves first. You won't lose too much. Kills are flashy, but minions pay the bills. Of course, if you miss half your last hits, ignore me. People laughed. Even in a high elo ranked match, JM cracked jokes like it was casual. Viewers went from confused to surprised to reverent. No matter how much Gragas roamed, the mid-wave stayed under JM's control, as if LeBlanc was helping him. Whenever Gragas left, LeBlanc would dutifully take the wave under tower. As the new wave approached, Gragas would be there to take over. last hit and kill minions perfectly. Because Gragas kept showing on the map, the purple team's early advantage dissolved. Game time, 15-20. Hecarim died again. His 2-0 had turned into 2-3. Mingkai's frustration spiked. At 18 minutes, after a third dragon fight, and as both teams prepared for Baron, it happened. Gragas, low health, returned to lane after a team fight. Godaway's full health LeBlanc aggressively engaged, but after a series of moves, the low health Gragas recalled on the spot, and LeBlanc found herself dodging chains, launched into a tower by an ultimate, and counter-killed. He has his ultimate. Ultimate. Mingkai, who had wanted to type that Gragas hadn't used his ult because he'd stolen Dragon, couldn't restrain himself. Clear love. What the f***? Can the mid laner stop feeding? You can't win lane, can't roam, and you got counter-killed by a half-health champion while you were full. Do you even know how to play? Damn it, you talk too much. How I play is none of your business. Motherfucker, you're trash. Gragas is roaming the entire map, and you're over there playing some 4-3-3-99 minion clearing minigame, huh? If you're this bad, why are you even pro? Go home and raise pigs. From then on, in the match chat and beyond, Mingkai earned a new nickname, the Factory Director. His fans were called piglets or pig offal, and being wrecked in the jungle or lane was being farmed like a pig. Even the sword of the occult became the pig slaughtering knife. Mingkai, as the factory director of the pig farm, was destined to be endlessly mocked, both locally and internationally. National server high elo ranked, 3 pro players get dominated by Jiangming, LeBlanc versus Gragas, a lifetime regret over a minion. Infinite roaming. Do you know wave management? Wii jungler rages at mid for getting outplayed by Jiangming's wave control. Why play pro? Better go home and raise pigs, the moral collapse or the distortion of human nature. Even before the match ended, threads about Wii jungler Mingkai flaming and telling a pro to go home and raise pigs, producing the pig farm meme, exploded across forums. Sensational headlines trended. Because the mastermind was Jiang Ming on Gragas, NXG's YY channel and official Weibo picked up a wave of followers. Jiang Ming, uninterested in milking esports memes, didn't ride the publicity. The pig farm was youth hot-bloodedness. There was no need to police who deserved it. After the match, having secured plenty of rating and promising tutorial videos on wave management later, Jiang Ming ended his stream and moved on to other matters. The next morning, Lin Jingyi came to Jiang Ming's office with streaming stats from YY. Room 1221 peaked at 340,000 viewers. That's more than WE's first stream after their championship last year, she reported. Bullet comments topped 4 million, averaging over 10 per viewer. Average watch time exceeded 2 hours, with over 60,000 full-duration viewers. Weibo gained over 20,000 real followers. Jiang Ming skimmed the papers. Don't worry about comparing to WE. S2 streaming numbers don't mean much for S3. League exploded this year. It'll keep growing faster than anyone expects. Lin Jingyi didn't ask why he was so sure. His decisions had been right so far. The focus is gift revenue. Yesterday's donations were 62,000 yuan. That much? Jiang Ming blinked. Streaming in 2013 wasn't the donation bonanza later years became. 60 grand was impressive. Lin Jingyi added, gift revenue's small. Our real money came from online store sales. In 5 hours, we got over 30,000 orders. Conversion was 10% with an average spend of 50 yuan. 340,000 viewers, 1% conversion, times 50, nearly 1.5 million in sales. Almost as much as his whole online store's prior year revenue. Even after costs and streamer commissions, it was huge. Are you sure the stats aren't wrong? No, the back-end numbers are on your phone. With this surge, manufacturers are manageable, but our part-time customer support girls were typing until their hands cramped, Lin Jingyi said. Pay overtime and give red packets. Decide amounts and ensure no after-sales issues. Jiang Ming, a big-picture guy, delegated details to trusted people and treated his staff well. He preferred giving good benefits. Happy employees work better. Have the player commissions been calculated, he asked. They have. Here's the breakdown. Lin Jingyi handed him the list. He smiled at the results. First place in sales. NXG, Stone, 7,400 orders, 392,111. Second, 2200 orders. Third, NXG Norsha, 140 orders, 6821. Fourth, NXG Door, 886 orders, 49,996. Fifth, NXG Yihan. As expected, Xiao Shito's natural selling talent put him top. Nearly 400,000 in revenue, driven largely by Logitech Esports peripherals, almost 3 times the second-place seller. Xiao Wu being last was nothing surprising. For someone who'd been a recluse when he joined the club, being able to appear on stream, talk, and sell anything in 6 months was already a huge leap. Chapter 17. This is the only chance you will ever have in your life. After checking the live streaming data for his team, Jiang Ming quickly ran the numbers in his head to calculate the 5 players' commissions. Live stream revenue, deduct costs first, then take 5% of the profit. 5%. That was the bonus rate Jiang Ming had set for his players, basically a sales commission. Compared with the 30 to 50% profit splits common in later eras, NXG's offer was tiny. But was it really that small? In an era when many esports clubs didn't even have that revenue stream, NXG offering even 1% would have made players ecstatic. Compared to their fixed monthly salaries, this share was actually significant. Xiao Shito's bonus alone is nearly 7,000 yuan, Jiang Ming muttered, rubbing his forehead. He wasn't worried about paying out the money. He was worried about the psychological fallout. A group of players used to 1,000 or 2,000 yuan salaries, seeing their income multiply overnight, could become unbalanced. Luckily, NXG was still in its infancy, capital hadn't fully arrived, and the players weren't famous yet. Better to discover the issue now, address it now, and resolve it now. This wasn't just a problem for NXG. It was a challenge that would face League of Legends teams and pro players after Season 3. If playing professionally for a few years earned less than selling bun sandwiches for a few months, what was the point? Jiang Ming understood why many future club owners let players grow unchecked. Training behavior, providing psychological counseling, and shaping professional values all took time and money, and these young players lacked life experience. Even in 2024 to 2025, it was hard to handle a player who spoke out of turn. In 2013, it was even tougher. He tapped the table. "Help me print out a detailed breakdown of the bonuses." "Are we paying them out today?" Lin Jingyi asked. "No," Jiang Ming said. "Just include them with next month's salaries." He stood, crossed to the sofa in the reception area, and called, "Please bring the team members up." A few minutes later, the 5 starters of NXG stood in his office, faces puzzled. Jiang Ming waited until Lin Jingyi had printed the live stream revenue and final bonus calculations and handed each player an A4 sheet before speaking. "Look this over. These are your live streaming stats from last night and the extra bonus you'll get with next month's pay." As the manager handed the sheets around, the figures hit them. Breath caught. Hearts raced. 2,100? Song Yuan's face flushed. That bonus was almost his whole month's salary. The others weren't much better off. Smiles spread across young faces like wildfire. Seeing the mood peak, Jiang Ming added, "You can swap and look at each other's sheets if you want." Curiosity won. They passed the papers around. "Holy. No way. Old shoe, you got 3,900? That's not fair. He's a mixer AD, and he got double me. Don't forget Xiao Shito got 4 times what you did." Silence fell. When Shi Zhenyu's sheet, the naturally gifted streamer, floated into view, the disparity hit like a bucket of cold water. The ecstatic high of the others was extinguished. Without comparison, a 2,000 yuan bonus feels great. See someone else with 7 or 8,000, and most of the joy is gone. That's why people dread comparisons. Jiang Ming let the silence settle, then asked softly, "So, how do you feel?" Xiao Shito, pushed to the front by the others, shrugged. "I don't feel anything special. I'm just happy to have the extra money." The rest offered a mix of honest and guarded replies. Pang Ran, smiling, looked at Jiang Ming. "Mingge, stop testing us. You've taught us so much. If we lost our way over a little extra cash, that'd be a real shame." "I'll admit the streaming income is kind of ridiculous," Pang Ran continued, "but it's luck. It's not stable." Xu Jing chimed in with a cocky grin. "I talk well and I sold a lot of pork floss buns last night, but without the NXG name behind me, I wouldn't have moved nearly as many orders." Xiao Wu added shyly, "I'm not a smooth talker. I only know how to play League. I can't stream like that. The audience gave me tips out of respect for you, Ming Gay. I know that. My dad told me to listen to you, Xiao Shito said, grin wide. You pulled me out of the internet cafe and gave me the stage. If you have something to say it. I'll listen. Song Yuan blurted the truth. I really want to make money. I'm scared of being poor. I don't want to live with 3 people in one bed or go months without meat. Last night, seeing my commission, I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if this could happen every day? I could build a big house, marry a good wife, buy a car like the teams. Laughter and teasing followed. Old song, you already want to get married? If I build a house, who in the village will say I'm not working hard? The team car is awesome. My dad would love it. Jiang Ming sat quietly, then grew relieved. He'd been wrong to project the later, Gold Rush-era mentality onto these 5. The disciplinary training he'd been giving them these past 6 months had had an effect. Good. Understanding now was better than discovering it later. Streaming wasn't an impossibility, but for these 5, it shouldn't be the main focus. Not yet. None of them had a true fan base. They had no honors, little fame. Remove the NXG name, and aside from Xiao Shito, who might make a name for himself, the rest would likely disappear without a trace. Even looking at later examples like 55 Kai, Ruo Feng, and Xiao Ji, Ruo Feng was already an international champion, and 55 Kai only gained viewers after his success in the S3 finals. There are countless people who tried streaming and vanished. Success stories are exceptions, not rules. After explaining the live streaming industry, the importance of a fan base, and ensuring no one's mindset had been ruined by last night's money, Jiang Ming scolded them with a smile. Don't be content with small things. If you win the championship this year, you'll earn 10, maybe 100 times what you got last night. He wanted them fired up, showing them the prize money was meant to motivate. You've seen the differences in your streaming incomes. As a sports players, you're public figures in a sporting field. Some of you are better at attracting fans than others, but you have another, more powerful way to attract attention: championships and honors. Jiang Ming never begrudged his players making money. He wanted them to succeed. A boss who gets rich alone isn't admirable. One who can lead his team to wealth together is the true leader. He looked each of them in the eye and said earnestly, I don't need to remind you what raw talent you have. This year might be your chance to change your destiny. This is the only chance you'll ever have in your life. Weekend. Jinling University, Gulu Campus, University Town. April mornings still held a cool mist. A renovation curtain came down at 11 Central Street to reveal a new storefront. JM Food Moment. The facade, 3 layers of orange metal panels, looked like a giant rainbow candy. The pixel art shop sign hung in the middle against the orange-yellow background. Sunlight hit the glass, throwing a honey-colored halo. Inside, several young students, guided by a woman in a gray skirt suit, were stocking shelves and doing the final cleaning. Be careful, everyone. After cleaning, double-check the price tags against the price list. No mistakes on opening day. Okay, Sister Yi. The student workers dispersed to their tasks. A short-haired boy eyeing a 2.4 yuan cola asked, Can this snack shop make money selling at these prices? They signed a direct supply deal with manufacturers. No middlemen, another answered. Probably a low-margin, high-volume plan. There's a ton of foot traffic in University Town. Even if only 1% of people come in, that's a lot of customers. Besides, we'd shop here ourselves. Drinks this cheap are irresistible. The bulk snack section cost more, but the students shrugged. For many, the prospect of saving a little each day was tempting. Summer was coming, and cold drinks would fly off the shelves. The long-haired girl, arranging products, sighed. She'd felt like a prodigy entering Jinling University, but college quickly taught her there was always someone better. While she fretted over 800 to 1,000 yuan monthly living costs, others were already building businesses and gathering fans. Now this first offline store of her friend's snack brand had launched within months. Some classmates who had mocked Sister Yi for taking odd jobs were quiet now. If there really were odd jobs that paid 7,000 or 8,000 a month and set someone up with club management support, more people would sign up. Outside, the commotion drew passersby. Paper crane cloud decorations dangled from the wooden ceiling. A metal fringe curtain tinkled when the door opened. At 10:30 a.m., there were no fireworks, no ribbon cutting, no need. JM Food Moment's first offline store in Jinling University Town opened quietly and successfully. Soon, two girls who'd finished stocking the shelves put on JM Food Moment uniforms and took the cashier roles beside the entrance. A short while later, the store welcomed its first customers. "Prices are the same as online," one said, "and only brand-name drinks and snacks, no cheap knockoffs." Two lively girls, fans of NXG and Jiangming, had come from nearby to check out the store. Coke and Sprite are 50 to 60 cents cheaper. And peanuts, jerky, everything, one squealed. Hey, juice freedom at last. "Let's weigh cookies, chocolate, chips, cashews. Don't miss anything. We might gain 2 pounds this month," they laughed. Word spread fast. Thanks to Jiangming promoting the opening on Weibo and in his stream, students from University Town flocked to the shop. People bought in bulk. 2 cases of cola, a boy announced. The dorm's hungry brothers are waiting. Everyone had the same thought. These snacks would be consumed anyway, so why not save a little? The early rush made the store's shelves empty fast, and the first JM Food Moment began life exactly as its founder had hoped: quiet, practical, and already bringing people together. Chapter 108. It's over. I can't even understand the questions. Most of the boys gravitated to the drink aisle, eyes flicking from soda to juice as they calculated which option gave the most value. The girls lingered by the snack shelves, carefully choosing bags of chips, candies, and little pastries. Whoever left JM Food Moment carried big bags in both hands and wore a satisfied smile, as if they'd just harvested something priceless. A few passers-by who hadn't meant to go in found themselves drawn by the crowd. University students don't have much money, but they do have sharp eyes for cheap, practical finds. Follow their lead, and you can't go wrong, so the newcomers wandered inside out of curiosity. With Jiang Ming's influence among young people, the store's affordable, decent-quality snacks, and a supportive location in a busy campus area, its popularity felt inevitable. People bought not just for themselves, but for whole dorms to catch opening discounts, and the bright JM Food Moment sign pulled in a steady stream of customers. Jiang Ming had designed the interior to echo later snack chain successes. From the logo to the name and the shelves, a warm orange-yellow palette created a cozy, youthful vibe. Older customers might not understand the appeal, but the aesthetic nailed exactly what young people liked. Besides, even if the store discouraged some middle-aged shoppers, they usually had younger relatives who could be coaxed in. "Grandpa, I want that. It's so cheap." And that settled everything. "I'll take a bottle of mineral water." "Thank you for your purchase. That'll be 1.5 yuan. Here's your change." It was 2013. Mobile payments weren't ubiquitous yet. Cash was still king at the register. The two university girls at the counter weren't surprised a young man only bought a bottle of Wahaha water. People did that all the time. He put the 0.5 yuan change into his bag with his right hand, feet planted, hesitating. A faint flush of embarrassment crossed his face. He pushed his courage together and asked in a low voice, "Excuse me, could you tell me exactly where the NXG club is?" "NXG?" The cashier paused, then recognition dawned. This was her boss's other venture. She gave him clear directions instead of the lazy, "take a taxi." "Go out and turn right. Head down the alley. Walk about 500 meters, then turn left and take bus 22. Get off at Chixia Station." "Thanks so much," White Crescent said, thanking her several times. Outside, he cracked the bottle cap and took 2 big gulps, then looked up at the warm sun and sighed. He wasn't sure if applying to NXG as a coach was the right move. After all, he was giving up being a pro to try coaching, but he was tired. After Hawaii's failure to qualify for the LPL, all the energy and ambition he and his teammates had carried evaporated. Play another season of the City Showdown? He knew his limits. At 23, pro sports life already felt half over. Facing a professional team in qualifiers had laid bare the gap between an improvised squad and a real organization. When his last teammates left and the rented house for matches closed, he walked away too. Why come to NXG now? He didn't know. Maybe he still missed the stage. Maybe he just needed a job. The bus bumped under him, and he watched the city scuttle by until the conductor called, "Chixia Station." Name: Luo Sheng. Age: 23. "Do you have experience in esports or on professional teams?" "Yes." He spoke fast, rattling off his history. I moved from War 3 solo to Dota for 6 years, won the national championship in Dynasty Warriors Online in 2007, and joined NGG in 2011 to start my league career. My ID is BSYY. Chen Muxin, the team leader, perked up at the ID. Since taking charge, she'd organized recordings of past matches and had a vague impression of BSYY. You were with Hawaii Spider before? Yes. We faced NXG in the qualifiers. White Crescent's smile stiffened. It felt odd, applying to the same organization that had been his rival. Is that a problem? No, just curious. Chen Muxin smiled and took 2 A3 sheets from her briefcase. This is the assessment test. You have 2 hours. It's divided into Paper A and Paper B. Paper A tests basic knowledge. Paper B is advanced. Follow me. They reached a freshly leased 2-story house across from the club. The first floor had been renovated into a reception room with a few tables. As White Crescent entered, someone rose from a table. Team leader Chen, I'm finished. All right, the club cafeteria is serving lunch. Have a quick meal before you go. Results will be out by tonight. Someone will call you. Keep your phone on. White Crescent sat, opened his test folder, and started. He scanned the first page and coughed twice. He stared at the questions, both hands on the paper. A big question mark formed in his head. What on earth is JM thinking? He muttered. Does a league coach need to know all this? Case study questions. Question 1. Blue team, top Jace, jungle Lee Sin, mid Ahri, bot Ezreal plus Zyra. Purple team, top Renekton, jungle Nocturne, mid Orianna, bot Caitlyn Janna. 1. If you were the coach of blue team, after drafting this composition, how would you arrange tactics for early, mid, and late game? State your overall strategy. 2. If you were the coach of purple team, how would you arrange tactics and playstyle across the game phases, and what's your overall strategy? 3. Around the 20-minute mark, under normal development, what kind of station will form between these two compositions? Estimate and analyze possible early game scenarios for both sides. 4. If your players disagree with your tactical arrangements and post-game analysis, how would you handle it? How would you convince them, using the game as an example? Cold sweat prickled White Crescent's forehead. He couldn't even think of picking up a pen. He watched the LPL matches and knew NXG's strength and JM's influence on the team, but he hadn't expected NXG to demand this level of tactical foresight. Aren't drafts made by players around what they want to play? And how can anyone predict exactly what will happen 20 minutes into a match? As for players disagreeing with coaches, where he'd played, coaches mostly ordered takeout. It was a miracle if the players listened to tactical plans. He put the paper down and flipped to the next. Question 2. Blue, top Zac, jungle Jarvan 4, mid Gragas, bot Graves Tarek. Purple, top Jace, jungle Evelyn, mid Kha'Zix, bot Corki plus Janna. Summoner spells, flash and teleport. Other spells in play include smite, ghost, heal, exhaust. Assuming all 10 players are equally skilled, 1. Briefly describe each team's strengths and weaknesses. What is the intent behind each composition? 2. From blue team's perspective, describe position matchups and counter relationships. Who will have the initiative? How does this affect the jungler's priorities? 3. Based on 1 and 2, which lane should blue's jungler prioritize and why? 4. If the game passes 20 minutes and both teams stalemate around Baron, outline your operational ideas and reasoning. 5. Analyze the current patch meta. Is this patch favorable or unfavorable for NXG, and what effects would it have? White Crescent's eyes skimmed the page, and his urge to give up swelled. The test kept going. Lineup analysis, vision placements, itemization, and then open-ended sections. Open questions. 1. As a coach, how would you organize the team's daily training and responsibilities? Write out a daily training schedule and workflow. 2. How would you handle a player whose condition goes off? What methods would you use to help them recover form? 3. When a patch changes, how would you help players adapt as quickly as possible? He stared some more, sweating. Then something clicked. He'd been working on the wrong paper. He flipped the stack over. At the top of the second sheet, in bold, was paper A. Pfft. Relief flooded him. I've been staring at paper B the whole time. Team leader Chen had said paper B accounted for only 30% of the total score. Paper A was 60%, and the remaining 10 came from extras, rank verification, tournament experience, and communication. Final score equals section scores, weight plus bonus points. White Crescent had burned time on the advanced paper and nearly panicked himself into failure. Paper A started sensibly, basic league knowledge questions. He answered the multiple choice quickly. Dragon first spawn, minion gold, tower damage thresholds. He felt like his old self. But the paper didn't stay simple. As it went on, the questions deepened. Which top laners are weaker split pushers late game? What's the exact active duration of Yumu's Ghost Blade? How do turret stats scale at different phases? How much gold do minions and objectives yield? And how do missed last hits affect income? Which defensive items should a top lane tank choose against heavy AD comps? Detail attributes and passives and their roles for tanks. By the time question 20, vision placement priorities in early, mid, and late game rolled around, White Crescent laughed out loud. "You call these basic league questions?" he muttered. The material clearly came from real coach selection tests. Chen Muxin had hinted as much and had been adapted for the club's own needs. He set his jaw, picked up his pen, and began to work through the questions he actually could answer, one by one. Chapter 109, The City's Schemes Run Deep. I want to return to the countryside. Am I really a challenger? By the time White Crescent, who was doubting his life and felt like he was about to break, finally submitted his paper, he didn't even remember how he'd done it. The NXG Club's coach recruitment test was far tougher than he'd imagined. The abstract questions on test paper B were one thing, but test paper A, what the team leader called basic knowledge, touched on a lot of things he hadn't thought about. If not for being broke and the promise of a free meal, White Crescent wouldn't have stayed at the NXG Club a second longer. It had been humiliating. While White Crescent and some other applicants were still eating on the first floor, Chen Muxin had already delivered the categorized answer sheets to the third floor. Jiang Ming, who understood the hardships of job seekers and fancied himself an entrepreneur for the people, didn't hesitate and began grading. Swish, swish, the faint scratch of pen tips against paper filled the office. In truth, the total workload wasn't huge. Although his questions referenced the S3 version, the core concepts were things that would only become mainstream 2 or 3 years later. The basic knowledge section wasn't that hard. For instance, asked which of 4 heroes was worst at split pushing, anyone with the rank and an understanding of split push mechanics would quickly pick One Trick Fiora, the Grand Duelist. Slightly harder were questions about attribute scaling, like the benefits of stacking armor or whether a damage dealer should buy armor penetration or attack damage, but those still paled compared to the advanced section. Test paper B included BP, ban pick, and tactical analysis questions. After Jiang Ming adjusted the version heroes, his questions mirrored the kind given in S-era coach recruitment exams. For people back then, even explaining the thought process behind an answer would mark someone as a rare talent. Tactical thinking is the key measure of a coach. Other deficiencies can be taught, and patience to train a team is something Jiang Ming had in abundance. Laying a solid S3 foundation would make every future step stable. Done. Soon Jiang Ming finished grading the dozen or so sheets. He pulled out the 2 qualified ones and pushed the rest toward Chen Muxin. Record the scores for the rest, notify the applicants, then shred the papers. Although the questions had been exposed when the applicants answered, very few would record them deliberately. Still, they had to prevent the answer sheets from circulating further. Notify these 2 people. If they're still at the club, send them to my office, he said, pointing to the 2 names. Also have Jingi print 2 contracts. Understood, President Jiang. After Chen Muxin left and closed the door, Jiang Ming picked the 2 remaining answer sheets up again. Overall score, 67. Overall score, 66. One of them was a later famous coach in the League of Legends circle. Whether the fame came from his stubborn style or the catchphrase, "You've reached your rebellious phase," he'd been active since early S3, started as a player, and coached several top LPL teams. The other name was unfamiliar to Jiang Ming, but after reading his information, Jiang Ming actually preferred this newcomer, Qi Wan, over the famous Ironhead King, White Crescent. Minus Esports experience, Qi Wan's score was only 1 point lower. Both scored similarly on answers, mostly in basic knowledge. Ranking-wise, Chiwon had nearly 2,200 points on the Ionia server last season, a solid game foundation. More importantly, he graduated from Imperial Capital Sports University with a major in sports economics and management, precisely what NXG needed. That educational background gave him a unique advantage. You could say Jiang Ming's big net had already started to pay off. Talents who hadn't appeared in his past life's LOL circle were actively applying to NXG, and that explained a lot. Basic monthly salary, $3,000. Food and accommodation provided. Executive coaches enjoy third-tier tournament performance bonuses. Other benefits, such as housing, meal, and transport subsidies, follow Party A's regulations. Contract term, 3 years per signing. The club has priority to renew. Breach and non-compete clauses are as follows. Late that night, White Crescent sat outside the NXG club, staring at the contract in his hand and unable to snap out of it. Signed? Just like that. Signed? After expecting a quick rejection and then being hired so fast after dinner, he still felt dazed. "Hello, brother," a deep voice called from behind. "Let's get acquainted. Chiwon, Mo Zie, BSYY, Luo Sheng." Wish plopped down beside White Crescent. "Brother, you were still a Hawaii player last month, right? Why switch to coaching?" Anyone daring to apply to an esports club had to be familiar with the scene. Mozier had a good grasp of roster changes, playstyles, club dynamics, and rule shifts. Not everything, but enough to start work confidently. He was curious why Hawaii, one step away from the LPL, had dissolved. No money. What else? White Crescent gave a bitter smile. "What about you? Straight A student from Imperial Capital Sports University. Why dive into esports?" "Hey, esports isn't a fiery pit anymore." Mosier brightened up and launched into a lecture like a professor finally given a captive audience. He explained in enthusiastic, jargon-filled terms how computer and network penetration had laid the groundwork for gaming's boom, invoking technology diffusion theory, industrial chains, and examples from the West and Korea. Esports, he argued, had become a mature industry in countries with advanced IT, spawning huge economic value through event organization, player training, live streaming, sponsorships, and more. Although their countries still harbored prejudice against esports, social progress would inevitably shift opinions. From industrial economics to societal change, esports was one of the most promising new industries. "What I'm spouting is basically a paper by my professor, Yu Kun from Jinling University," he finished with a grin. "I don't want to take the civil service exam. I can't break into the traditional sports world, so NXG, with the best prospects in LOL, seemed like the right shot." Holy cow, the test paper Jiang Ming gave this afternoon blew my mind. I'm not bragging, but JM's understanding of the game is a dimensionality reduction strike for other teams, stuff they won't catch up with for years. White Crescent also silently agreed. "All right, brother, official work starts tomorrow, training and everything. Get some sleep." Mozai patted his shoulder and headed toward the dorms. Good prospects, a decent monthly salary, and free cafeteria food made him visibly happy. White Crescent shook himself out of his melancholy. The contract's signed. What's there to be sad about? He got up, patted himself off, and followed. They shared a dormitory. NXG's current prospects were promising, but single rooms would have been excessive. The main base's second floor didn't have enough rooms, so Lin Jingyi had quickly rented 2 nearby apartments for staff. Given esports demands, NXG expected extra dedication from its people, so it provided slightly better facilities in return. The club's development had even outpaced Jiang Ming's expectations. He'd thought sponsors would come after the All-Star game, but after less than 1 round of competition, NXG had more sponsorships than all other LPL clubs combined. Domestic businessmen's nose for money was sharp. The next morning at 9, White Crescent woke to the alarm feeling groggy and miserable. Waking this early was a novelty for him, since he'd just transitioned from player to coach. He forced himself out of the top bunk in the cramped staff dorm, careful not to disturb his roommate. The accommodation was basic, shared bunk beds, but free, with some utility subsidies and an ensuite bathroom. Free was still free. Mozai's role differed from White Crescent's. After a brief chat before lights out, White Crescent had learned he'd been assigned youth training manager. A youth training camp. NXG wanted to cover all bases. While other teams struggled to maintain a first squad, NXG was already building a youth program. From the club hierarchy, head of youth training sat higher than an executive coach. White Crescent didn't sulk long. After washing up and changing into the NXG coach uniform, he headed to the cafeteria for a quick breakfast, skimmed the club schedule, and then met Mozie before going to the second floor where the players stayed. Concentrated can pierce through solid rock. White Crescent noticed the team culture slogans by the stairs. Living in that atmosphere would shape the players. He knocked on doors one by one. Everyone, wash up quickly. Don't rush to the cafeteria. We'll come back after morning exercise. Okay, coach. Gather at the club entrance. His first day's work was simple. Follow the club schedule and run the daily routine. 11 a.m. was morning exercise time, and staff like White Crescent and Mozie joined in. Jiang Ming, the boss and the team's substitute mid laner, sometimes participated, but today he had an early class at Jinling University and had hurried back. All right, everyone, follow my movements and start with 10 minutes of warm-up. Zhao Yang, captain of NXG's fan support team and the club's health manager, led the warm-ups. As a sports student, he had no trouble guiding the players through neck stretches, shoulder circles, jumps, wrist and finger warm-ups, and waist twists. He walked through the crowd correcting form. Despite some players' grumbles, Song Yuan and a few others shot resentful looks at Zhao Yang, realizing the fan waving their flag last match had actually been an insider planted by the club. No one slacked. They took it seriously. One line from Jiang Ming stuck with them. Those who want to succeed either have background, talent, or they fight hard. You must have at least one. White Crescent, at the very back, panted hard after 3 sets of stretches, doubled over, face flushed. Don't rush, Zhao Yang said, stepping forward. Old Bai, you've probably been staying up too late and sitting in front of a screen. Take it slow. Cough, it's fine. Just need to catch my breath. White Crescent didn't try to be macho. Years in esports had taxed his 23-year-old body. He felt his heart pounding like it might burst, breathless and nauseous. Looking at the energetic 5, NXG's core lineup, he sighed inwardly. These kids are lucky to have a boss who cares about their physical health. Zhao Yang exhaled. Rest here, old Bai. I'll take the players for 2 laps. You go ahead. I need a few more days to adapt. White Crescent knew his limits. He was here to work, not drop dead. After resting, he went to the training room. While the players exercised, he set about his own task, studying the coach's schedule. Jiang Ming had given him. First thing every day, check League of Legends official news. Look for version updates, hero tweaks, item changes, map resource shifts, and analyze how they affect game tempo and tactics. For example, if they nerf Twisted Fate's R, global play will be limited. With Twisted's pick rate down, which comps will rise? What are the alternatives? A thick stack of documents sat in his hands, each player's data, hero pools, preferred styles, data he'd only seen after signing the NDA last night. His job was to use it to craft new tactical directions, build initial frameworks for this version, maybe create a system centered around a dominant hero or tactics aiming at map resources like early Dragon or the 20-minute Baron fight. So this was what NXG did before a match. No wonder they were hard to beat. The more he read, the more embarrassed White Crescent felt. His once proud game knowledge looked amateurish next to this dossier. Please give me your monthly votes, babies. Chapter 110. This isn't fair. After going through NXG's systematic training, White Crescent improved quickly. Once he clearly saw the fundamental gap between his understanding of the game and Jiang Ming's, a gap that felt like an entirely different dimension, he dropped his pride. He threw himself into learning, diligently working through the confusing, meticulously arranged courses Jiang Ming assigned him. It felt harder than his college entrance exams, and he had to admit he was out of his depth. On mornings without training, he quietly read everything he could. When he had time, he copied Jiang Ming's methods to gather data about other teams, starting with their opponents that weekend. His old ranked account and long history in the scene helped. He still had many pro player friends and could quickly find out which champions opponents liked to play. By noon, he'd be proactively talking with Pang Ran, Song Yuan, and the others, asking their thoughts on the new patch. He didn't feel embarrassed or elevated by being called a coach. In terms of game knowledge, he honestly wasn't anywhere near them yet. White Crescent positioned himself as Jiang Ming's assistant, NXG's assistant coach, and took on the tedious but necessary tasks, processing data, gathering intel, and providing opponent scouting that the players needed. Those tasks were time-consuming, but they yielded results if he put in the work. For everything else, he just stuck close to the boss, observing and learning. Jiang Ming didn't worry someone would leave after being trained. There was a non-compete, so he taught generously. From basic team drills to advanced specialized work, from individual player development to scheduling scrims, Jiang Ming explained the purpose behind everything. Ultimately, the head coach must understand the repetitive details to it since they're the ones who'll be doing them in the long run. The hardest part for White Crescent were the scrims. Comprehensive scrims required predetermined tactical planning. The head coach had to set specific training content, tactical drills, lane practice, teamfight simulations, observe players closely, point out mechanical and awareness issues, and give targeted guidance. Our comrade Xiaobai was probably in this state. Eyes, I understand. Brain, I think I get it. Hands, you're dreaming. In the end, White Crescent was left with one useful task he could actually do, pushing the players to keep to the training plan and maintaining the intensity and quality of practice. The problem is, the NXG5 are so diligent, I don't even need to push them, he thought. With everyone in the club so serious about improvement, White Crescent constantly worried he might lose his job. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. I recruited you to give you time to grow. For now, observe and learn, then fulfill the duties of an assistant coach, Jiang Ming told him bluntly when he noticed White Crescent's hesitation. NXG had recruited a coach to select and cultivate talent. No one should assume anyone was automatically qualified to coach this roster after all the work Jiang Ming had poured into it. Put at ease, White Crescent stopped worrying about being fired for not keeping up and embraced being a student. In the evenings, after scrims, Jiang Ming led the team in post-game reviews. They watched replays, reviewed every key decision and play, and analyzed successes and failures. After everyone had gone to sleep, White Crescent would summarize what he'd learned that day, check off the tasks he'd completed, reflect on his shortcomings, and note them down for future improvement. He still wondered why Jiang Ming kept warning him not to be so single-minded, though. He didn't think he was stubborn. Lying in the NXG staff dorm with Mosey's snores coming from the lower bunk, White Crescent tossed and turned. After joining the club, he and his roommate had been on two parallel tracks. He never knew what the other was doing. Mosey returned exhausted each day and fell straight to sleep. Youth was strange that way. Days flowed by, and finally NXG were about to face their greatest rival since entering the LPL, WE. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the live broadcast of the 2013 League of Legends Professional League Spring Split. Wawa appeared on camera, still slim then, his suit making him look energetic, and sat beside commentator Xiaomi. Though female, Xiaomi was down-to-earth and highly emotional in her casting, with a solid grasp of the game. The upcoming match is between WE and NXG. One side is a newly formed team, the other is a top-tier powerhouse that took the international championship last season, Wawa said, picking exactly the words WE fans wanted to hear. It was true that one of the teams had been the international champion, the other was new, but the new team's record was impressive, 6 straight wins and first place in the standings. Xiaomi, less inclined toward spin, spoke analytically. After the first round of matches, it's clear NXG is hot right now. They've won 6 in a row and are undefeated in the league. Wee's situation is less favorable. This season's patch favors mid and top, which limits Wei Xiao's carry potential from the bottom lane. Following Jiang Ming's example, the LPL casters didn't have to be meta sages, but they could discuss the patch enough to satisfy viewers. The reality WE faced was obvious to any observer. In an assassin meta, mid-lane laning often starts out weaker. Mid and jungle can be forced into early disadvantages. Top couldn't always hold, and games sometimes fell into waiting for Wei Xiao to reach a 3-item spike. Even without a top mid-meta, ADCs had objectively slow scaling. Under pressure from the other lanes, Wee's formation often crumbled before Wei Xiao came online. Most crucially, other teams had learned how to counter WE by copying Jiang Ming's NXG. Strong in bottom lane? Fine, we'll just abandon bottom early. Pick someone who can survive, then put the focus on top, mid, and jungle, even bringing support. Run over those lanes, then return to assist the bot. Even if Wee's jungler secured a kill or two for Wei Xiao, who was more valuable, an ADC with 2 kills at 15 minutes, or my top and mid, who are both 1-0? The answer was obvious. Teams also found that controlling top and mid made dragon contests easier. The small econ leads from objectives and lane pressure fully compensated for early bot sacrifices. In early to mid-game, the bot lane was still scaling. Whether resources were given or not, their contribution didn't change much. With teammates giving top and mid early priority, overall fight power rose dramatically. Most ADCs actually liked this. They had fewer times being focused in teamfights, 2 beefy teammates to shield them, and could just deal damage. We were blinded by Wee's championship, many cried. Once people understood the shift, Wee, dominant in the first half of the previous spring split, started to falter. Outside a few teams like LM, WOA, and Royal Never Give Up, WE couldn't beat the top 4 teams who prioritized top, mid, and jungle. Even against Royal, if 55 Kai and top lane Shen Chao played well, we could lose. The commentators laid it out, and the facts were obvious. Wee's fans, however, reacted with disbelief and anger in the chat. What are you talking about? My WE just had a bad game or two, and you act like it's the end of the world. Did you take money from Jiang Ming? Are you salty because you lost the all-star vote? We will win. Wei Xiao is invincible in bot. When did a champion team get stomped by some hyped-up squad? Cao Mei, Ro Feng, go kill them. Okay, sister, you're overestimating us. Haha, we fans are losing it. If the mid lane doesn't get solo killed today, that's a success. Mid doesn't get solo killed, we fans, Ro God will definitely solo kill, okay? What do you mean all-star voting can't beat you? Jiang Ming already has nearly 100,000 more votes than your mid laner. You're just bullying 5 rookies with no fans yet. Wei Xiao invincible? Which Kog'Maw had to buy a Giant's belt first after getting poked by Fizz against Royal. Joke of the day, 3/3 looking down on 6-0. We just want to see the 5 WE players play. Results don't matter. Unbelievable. People saying results don't matter in competitive sports now. The league community had been saturated with WE fan fervor for a long time. Many liked WE. They cheered when they won IPL 5, but the fanaticism wore on everyone else. With Jiang Ming and NXG challenging that entitlement, there was hope among other fans that the tide could change. Xiaomi, unaware she'd landed on the BUE fans' hit list, continued. NXG's new adjustment. Jiang Ming will start as mid lane, and NXG has added a new coach, BSYY. Players from both teams strode out of the tunnel, and the arena exploded. Ah! Wei Xiao, you're so handsome. Cao Mei, I want to have baby monkeys with you. On the NXG side, the fans chanted in a more disciplined, organized way. NXG, 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 led by cheering squad captain Jiao Yang, which cut through the chaos and felt overwhelming. Seeing the extra person on NXG's sideline and the team in jerseys instead of suits, many fans brightened. The absence of someone in the mid position had always made a lineup look incomplete. This isn't fair, came a shrill cry from the crowd. NXG is playing 7 against 6. We protest. 2 coaches? That's against the rules. Disqualify them. The broadcast director's mics had captured it all. We fans' outbursts were sent through the live signal. 7 against 5 isn't fair? Where are the 7 people? We fans must be on something. If you're so smart, let Ruo Feng join the draft too. Inside the team room, NXG's players had already sat down and started tuning their keyboards, mice, and peripherals. Didn't the event organizers think to update the equipment? The refresh rate is so low, Song Yuan complained. Logitech, NXG's sponsor, had helped the club upgrade their computers. Now the event PCs felt sluggish by comparison. Didn't I tell you to lower your settings to match the event machines during practice? Jiang Ming shot back, then put the captain's armband on his left arm. Last time, switching from coach's suit to player uniform, the armband wasn't ready. With White Crescent acting as temporary coach behind them, they could finally take the field in full form. White Crescent hadn't come onto the stage to participate in the draft. His task was simple: supply opponent champion data and keep learning. Hey, my mechanics improved after the performance, one of the youngsters said sheepishly. Me too, Mingi. We won't do it again, another added. Catching their boss's death stare, the few of them immediately knelt and admitted their mistake. Chapter 111. Live BP Coaching. At the WE player seats, Abu's eyes flicked to the extra figure on the opposite side and his eyelids twitched. BSY, former jungler and captain of Huawei Spider, stood quietly among NXG's coaching staff. Huawei had once been a breath away from the LPL. Having their ex-captain on NXG's bench was bad news for WE. When playing NXG, we can't pin everything on the bottom lane in the early game, Abu told his players. If their top, mid, and jungle all pressure hard, it'll be impossible to keep our AD safe in teamfights. Mingkai suggested, let's pick champions that can develop steadily in lane. A short silence fell over the team voice chat. Cao Mei glanced instinctively at the bottom lane. Everyone knew who the comment was aimed at. Wan Mao saw the hesitation and spoke up. If possible, let me take Blitzcrank. If we can't win lane, I can roam. NXG had already influenced the league. Teams were copying the two-man rotations, support and jungle roaming, to open the map. LPL bottom lanes were playing safer now. After talking with Abu, Wan Mao decided that instead of trying to dominate the bottom lane, he could leverage his roaming and Wan's individual ability to free up the support and fight elsewhere. If top, mid, and jungle fell behind, one strong bot lane couldn't carry everything. Abu, however, didn't intend to abandon a bot-centric plan entirely. Under his direction, Wan Mao would help top, mid, and jungle open the map early, then NXG-style execute 4 or even 5-man dives on bot. To that end, Cao Mei quietly swapped his summoner spells from Ghost's Ignite to Ghost Teleport. Even WE, still centered around Wei Xiao, had to start stabilizing top, mid, and jungle in this S3 meta. A strong bottom lane was just one strength. If the other lanes collapsed, it could trigger a chain reaction and lose the game. Can mid play Zed? Should I try? Forget it. Abao sighed and looked at the BP band pick interface. Let's stick with the lineup we preset last night. NXG had blue side and first band pick rights in this BO1. The desk announcer called the bans. Blue team NXG bans Shen. Xiaomi wasn't surprised. Shen is WE's signature top champion for his global presence. His Q sustain and W shield make his laning very strong. Because I'm the anti-pressure king, Cao Mei. Wawa mock cheered. NXG likes to open from top, so banning Shen makes starting fights easier. Wii's bans were decisive too. Abao had already told Ruofeng, I'll try, then threw Zed out of consideration. One less Zed at the table. After watching JM's single-handed cleanup of IG's backline, Abu wasn't going to give that champ to an opponent. Wii's first ban, Zed. NXG's second ban is Janna, the caster announced. Without Zed and with assassins like LeBlanc, Ahri and Talon still available, banning a top-tier protective support like Janna was a safe move against a bot-focused team. Then Wii's second ban, Gragas. No surprises after JM's notorious Gragas plays. NXG followed with Zyra as their third ban. Xiaobai, can you tell me why Zyra was banned? Jiang Ming turned to test White Crescent after the bans. Zyra's ultimate and E make diving or engaging into a bot-centered team difficult, White Crescent said after a second. Combined with Wei Xiao's Ezreal, the constant poke would be oppressive. That's right, Jiang Ming confirmed. Zyra plus Ezreal is too much poke. Then the broadcast produced a shock. Wii's last pick, Ahri. The crowd reaction flipped instantly. One moment Wii fans were shouting confidently, the next they were unsettled. Xiaomi's voice rose. 3 bans. 3 mid-bans. Wii wants to limit JM's champion pool, Wawa added. The commentators were stunned. The tactic of using multiple bans to target a single position was aggressive and rare. In the live chat, viewers blasted in both directions. Some ridiculed the idea that Jiang Ming's pool could be restricted. Others debated the strategic merits. Jiang Ming took it in stride and moved into teaching mode. Xiaobai, you go first, he said. For our first pick, prioritize jungle. From our version study, pick one of these and tell me why. Jarvan 4, Lee Sin, or Elise. Jiang Ming was practiced at teaching. Countless tutorial videos had turned him into a methodical instructor. He wanted a coach who could think the way he did. Season 3 wasn't everything. By Season 4 and 5, his schedule would change. Training the team's next strategist was part of the job. Jarvan, Lee Sin, or Elise? White Crescent answered quickly. I'll take Elise. Okay, tell me why, Jiang Ming prompted. All 3 are strong right now, White Crescent said. Jarvan is balanced, strong engage but needs lane synergy. Lee Sin and Elise are tempo junglers. They fall off late, but Elise has stronger pre-6 damage, her repel fits our dive playstyle, and she's cheaper to itemize. Especially, Jiangming waited, especially if we lock Elise, we might respond with Lee Sin. White Crescent finished. Minkai's Lee Sin is good, but he hates taking risks. That safe mindset doesn't fit Lee Sin's style. Jiang Ming smiled. The band pick rights went to purple, and we instantly took Ezreal and then Lee Sin. Ezreal, Wei Xiao's signature, Wawa crowed. The crowd erupted, remembering last year's remarkable Ezreal plays. Ezreal has so much mobility with his E and Ghost, Xiaomi argued, poking at comment threads accusing Wei Xiao of being overly cautious. Choosing Ezreal gives him a better chance to survive multi-man attacks. On stage, Jiang Ming proposed two options for NXG's bot and mid, Caitlyn plus Nami or Corki plus Annie. Without Janna, Nami is a great partner for Caitlyn. Bubble into trap equals kill. Corki's Annie, meanwhile, were a high-pressure burst composition. White Crescent hesitated, then confirmed Corki plus Annie. If Elise comes to gank, Caitlyn Nami might lack burst unless their CC is perfectly chained, so the target can slip away, Jiang Ming explained. Annie's bear after 6 can tank tower dives, and in mid-game fights, it compensates for some of Elise's initiation gap. Graves better than Corki? White Crescent asked, sharpening his tactical learning. Graves has higher instant burst, but Corki's mid-game poke and global damage are valuable, Jiang Ming replied. Think beyond lane. What if the early game stalls? How do we break the mid-game deadlock? How do you preserve a chance for a big late team fight? That's the coach's job. The desk picked up tempo. Jax plus Blitzcrank? Wawa's excitement spiked. Wan Mao's specialty. We has used a similar top support combo before, Xiaomi said. Their plan has been to let Wei Xiao farm while Wan Mao and Ming Kai roam. It stabilized their games before. Jiang Ming narrowed his eyes as we left their mid-counter pick open. He selected Renekton for top. Renekton, he said. Renekton and Elise together threaten early dives, tower pressure that punishes melee top picks like Jax. That combination would make splitting for Jax much harder early. For himself, Jiang Ming locked LeBlanc. The black rose blooms again, he murmured as he adjusted runes. We debated mid. Ruofeng's lips smacked. He wouldn't dare pick Twisted Fate against JM's LeBlanc, he joked. Pang Ran, Wui's support, argued Twisted Fate could stabilize lane and offer global pressure later, but in the end, we picked Diana for mid. Team comps were set. Blue side NXG, Renekton top, Elise jungle, LeBlanc mid, Corki plus Annie bot. Purple side Double E, Jax top, Lee Sin jungle, Diana mid, Ezreal's Blitzcrank bot. Abao frowned. He had wanted Ruofeng on Twisted Fate, but NXG's draft was ruthless. A jungle top dive comp plus LeBlanc in mid. Picking Diana meant farming up and surviving against LeBlanc's harassment, building health and shields to weather the early waves. The game loaded, and 10 champions flashed into the fountain. NXG's players bought fast and headed out. Jiang Ming's LeBlanc moved forward quickly, faster than the others. Level 1 defensive positioning, watch for Blitzcrank hooks, Jiang Ming warned. NXG's draft was early game strong, but level 1 brawls could go either way. We didn't look to invade, wary of Annie's stun. Both sides headed to their lanes, and the caster camera swept the arena, lingering on the mid-lane faces for a beat before cutting back to the game. Jiang Ming started Doran's ring and arrived mid-early. He stood in front of the purple tower, waiting for the minions. The tactic was familiar to those who followed him. Here it comes, Wawa shouted. JM's minion-pulling strategy, he showed this on stream. Xiaomi explained. By standing in minion aggro range before they meet, a champion can pull the wave, turning what would have been even trades into a freeze or a pushed wave. At 150, the purple minions reached LeBlanc. She sidled forward, and the 3 melee minions turned to attack her, letting the blue minions fight to catch up. Ruofeng's Diana was stuck. He'd taken W at level 1 and couldn't use Q to disrupt LeBlanc's pull. They'd studied the tactic, but hadn't worked out transitions between pushing and freezing. Now it unfolded against them. The minions thrashed. Blue melee minion yawned and roused his sleepy brothers. The small skirmish of minion AI had become, in a strangely human way, another layer of theater in the match. On the stage, the match had only just begun, but the first strategic thread had already been set. Jiang Ming, coaching as he drafted, had used the pick ban and the opening tactics to shape a game that would test Wii's early composure. The season and the series were far from over. Chapter 112, Extended E, a mid laner at the same level as bottom lane. Aren't you going to learn Q at level 1? Jiang Ming stared at Ruofeng's choice and felt the familiar itch of disbelief. Diana into LeBlanc. The standard play was to take advantage of Diana's passive and Q to shove the wave at level 1 and force LeBlanc out. Instead, Ruofeng let his minions be poked and pulled. For a melee champion facing a ranged lane, you have to seize the initiative. Otherwise, you get poked to death. Choosing W at level 1, the defensive shield screamed, "I'll sit and survive," and that was admitting defeat in the mid-jungler matchup before it even started. In this older patch, Diana's dash was on her ultimate, so a defensive W now meant months of passive suffering. Wii's problem wasn't that their top or mid lacked talent, it was that they were mentally stuck in last season's habits and couldn't adapt. Jiang Ming didn't have to wonder if NXG's 5 were prodigies. In his view, any one of WE's roster could outshine NXG's youngsters if they were properly coached. The whole peak at 20 and retire at 23 nonsense was a management issue, not an age thing. He saw players burned out because of poor training and ego. Wei Xiao, the purple team's ADC who fans called the world's best, had slid because he got addicted to mobile games and stopped listening to calls. Cao Mei had burned out after being praised and refusing to adapt in S3, the kind of selfishness that ruins careers. All of that simmered under Jiang Ming's calm as he watched the lane. On the lane, LeBlanc harried Diana with Q and autos, probing at level 1 while minions pushed toward the blue side. Jiang Ming danced his position, pulling horizontally to make it clear. If you want any CS, you'll have to sacrifice health. When the wave neared the tower and he hit level 2, he ramped up the harassment. 2 steps forward, last hit with one hand, poke with the other, small jukes to bait Diana's Q and prevent her from hitting both him and the minions. Ruofeng, under the pressure, wanted to push the wave into tower to avoid ganks. But the moment LeBlanc hit level 3, Jiang Ming stomped forward and marked Diana with Q. Ruofeng popped W for a shield, sidestepping to bait the follow-up E. Be patient, summoner. Jiang Ming could hear the crowd, but he didn't wait. LeBlanc smiled and, the chain still retracted, returned with W and then threw the ethereal chains. From the OB camera, it looked like a stretched-out chain, narrow and long. It clipped Diana. Silence triggered. People in chat gasped. How did LeBlanc's chain stretch like that all of a sudden? It's a visual thing. She casts E while returning with W. The anchor point looks farther away, so the chain seems longer. The crowd chalked it up to mechanics, and for once even the most devoted Wii fans didn't blame a bug. Jiang Ming's tutorial videos were a reputation of trust. If you saw a strange play, assume competence first. Ruofeng's health collapsed after the hit. Abu, watching from the sidelines, sighed. If mid collapsed this early, Mingkai's jungle would be ruined. But the game kept rolling. LeBlanc's play was fluid, not the clumsy moves of a beginner, nor the blatant kill hunger of someone desperate to snowball. She poked in last hit, letting Diana think she could sustain with flasks, while ripping away minion gold and experience. A half-health Diana at level 3 wasn't dead, but she might as well be. Every time Ruofeng last hit, Jiang Ming punished him. Ruofeng frantically chugged potions and tried to step forward to secure a low-health minion, but the pressure made him miscast a Q, sending it the wrong direction into his own F4 camp. Mingkai frowned at the missing small monster. Ruofeng stammered, "I." Jiang Ming seized on the mistake. After Ruofeng cast, he dashed forward, landed another Q and an auto, last hit the cannon minion and leapt to level 4. His W was back up. Snap! The level 2 distortion and the second Q mark exploded. Mingkai stopped complaining about the stolen small monster and used W to dash out of the F4 camp and shield his teammate. They worried LeBlanc might go for the kill and even use Ignite. Diana didn't have the damage for a solo kill at that health, but after that sudden combo, she was forced to back away or recall. Either way, she lost the lane. Chat exploded. Mid-gap is huge, unplayable. How do you play this? He went home at level 3. If the jungler hadn't been there, LeBlanc would have killed him with Ignite. We banned 3 mid laners and still couldn't stop JM. LeBlanc in his hands is ridiculous. It's minion wave control. Diana was denied everything. Potions don't make up for lost XP. We fans still yelling? These two mids aren't comparable. That's why JM needs to play pro. Otherwise, he'd hide all his tricks. We fans tried to defend, but they were losing in-game and online. Inside the team voice chat, Wan Mao, the peacemaker, piped up, Ruofeng, don't let him lead you by the nose. We can't outplay him with minion waves. Ruofeng felt cornered and confused. He'd planned a defensive build, W first, Abyssal Mask later, to survive and scale. He never expected to be toyed with and denied XP. Ugh, this sucks. The quickness is gone. Spider Queen is in top. Cao Mei's shout from top broke the tense mood. Mingkai's blind monk had shown in mid, and Xiao Shito immediately countered top. The jungler wasn't going for a solo kill. He initiated from the river. Songyuan closed on Jax, poked and baited, avoiding a full trade until Jax used E. Years of defensive experience let Cao Mei escape, flashed to the right, and counter-strike stunned the Spider Queen, preventing a lethal combo. Profit, Songyuan grinned. Thanks, jungler. You're huge. Cao Mei's lane was pushed up to the turret. With Blind Monk inbound, Songyuan spun a closer range Q, and Shi Zhenyu matched with QW to chip further. Weapon, Cao Mei, was forced to go home or face a turret dive. I don't have the quickness. I need to base. Can you freeze the lane? Cao Mei asked. Mingkai considered counterganking top, but 2 attack pings from bottom showed the team's priority, protect ADC and bot. All right, I'll help freeze it. Be careful. By 5 minutes in, NXG's top, mid, and jungler had advantages. Crocodile and LeBlanc both cleared waves and recalled for items. Diana, disadvantaged in gold, experience and lane priority, had effectively lost the laning phase. Back on the lane, Jiang Ming stopped freezing and began a push. If an enemy has been frozen out and suddenly changes posture to shove, alarm bells should ring. They're probably hunting a bounty. Ruofeng still hoped to hit level 5 and then build MR to fight back, but the minion wave never got to him. He complained in voice, he's been freezing for a minute or two, it won't come over. The teammates looked. Wei Xiao nearly flung his mouse. Why is your Diana the same level as my Ezreal? 80 at level 4, mid at level 4. The discrepancy was wrong. Ruofeng tried to defend. I missed a few minion waves. I'm just over level 4, 2 more minions and I'll be 5. He's about to be 6, Wawa said flatly in stream. The real point, losing experience equals losing levels, stats, and power spikes. Level 6 is a massive power jump. Diana with her ultimate is a different champion. Wan Mao wanted to send help to mid to clear the freeze. It's the simplest counter, but bottom couldn't handle itself. NXG's bot lane wasn't flashy, but they were stable. Corki and Annie's lane made Ezreal and Blitzcrank impotent. Corki may be short-ranged, but Annie's range and burst made hooking under tower useless. Wan Mao conceded, no, I'll still roam. I can't hook them in lane, my presence doesn't change much. Annie dodged another hook, and Wan Mao warned, if LeBlanc starts roaming, we'll be in real trouble. Wei Xiao, okay, but wait until I upgrade my tier. With Ezreal soloing bot, Wan Mao leaving meant he'd earn faster XP and gold. But would Jiang Ming allow Wi's support and jungler to roam? In mid, Diana tried to fight for XP again and got chunked down to half health. She clung to her flask and refused to recall. Jiang Ming's kill intent rose. Xiao Shito, go find Ming Kai in the jungle and play with him. He opened the wave to speed things up. If a lane that's been frozen suddenly changes pace, people should run. The opponent is hunting a bounty. Even if Ming Kai counter-ganked, Diana wasn't a huge threat. The warning was precaution. From the purple side, Ming Kai had cleared wolves and was close to mid. With the jungler nearby, the situation looked safe for Diana. The big wave would finally give her the XP she needed. But Jiang Ming kept walking toward the purple tower. As Diana began the animation for Q, Jiang Ming didn't hesitate. WQE. Ethereal chains bound Diana. Ignite appeared over her head. The tower locked onto LeBlanc. Ruofeng, silenced, mashed the quickness, but silence blocked skills and summoners. The mark detonated. Diana, who'd barely recovered with a potion, was critically low. The blue side cannon fired a heavy shot at a melee minion at the same moment LeBlanc hit level 6. The timing was perfect. It's over. Everyone watching, casters, chat, and Ruofeng, knew it. The combo had landed. E to set the mark, QW to silence, and then root. Diana couldn't react. LeBlanc could even mimic with her ultimate to double threat. The silence ended as Diana's root locked her in place, Her summoner was unusable until she died. Ethereal chains wrapped her. First blood. NXG. JM killed Wee's Messiah. Extended ethereal chains trick. JM's hands are too fast. Ruo Feng's Diana couldn't cast anything. 2 turret shots in the passive triggered. LeBlanc leveled. Will Ming Kai smite F4? Seeing Blind Monk there? Forget it. Commentators Xiaomi and Wawa described the exchange crisply, and chat lit up. Designer, consider deleting silence. It gives no room to play. As soon as W lands, QE is already on Diana. Unless you the quickness instantly, silence ECC is brutal. Clarify, Ruo Feng is the Diana on blue, right? We fans trying to dominate the vote, now watch them choke. First blood was the signal. Other lanes smelled blood and sped up. The game's pace accelerated. NXG, Stone killed Bui. Cao Mei. 6 minutes and 7 seconds. Spider Queen returned to top with Crocodile and completed a turret dive before Weapon Master's ultimate was up. The top camera showed the Spider Queen with 1/3 health pressing E, dodging turret aggro, flanking, and kicking Annie into her teammates with the quickness. The follow-up Q missed, but after Annie stunned with W, Spider Queen used the quickness to escape over the wall. The bot lane skirmish ended messy but decisive for NXG. Momentum had swung hard to their side. Chapter 113, Ruthless Capture and Health Bar Disappearance. Oh, did Annie get away? Wawa sounded disappointed, clearly rooting for BE. That's a huge loss. Mid Diana died, top got Dove, and NXG only paid with bottom's Ezreal. Lee Sin had flanked to the bot lane to make a move. Su Jing caught off guard, didn't hesitate. He flashed his Corki immediately, already prepared to use flash to sacrifice the support and secure safety. With both top and mid collapsing, a small loss in bot lane was expected. Who would have thought Annie survived? That was pure bonus. You've got to hand it to Wii there, Xiaomi said neutrally. Wan Mao's blitzcrank hook forced Corki's flash, and then Lee Sin used his ward to kick Annie backwards. Dor kept cool. She held her stun until Annie was kicked into the team, then used it to lock down Wei Xiao and Juan Mao. Of course, Ming Kai's kick was crucial too. Did well enough? People in the crowd holding Wii support banners muttered, lots of people do well in the process, but if the result doesn't change, who cares what you did in the middle? Both lanes were shattered. Ming Kai's investment bot hadn't yielded anything decisive. What could stop NXG's momentum now? Mid Diana had terrible farm and was dove and killed. She was unreliable. Top Renekton was collapsing, bullied down to base at level 3, then brutally killed at 6, missing a huge wave and falling nearly 2 levels behind Jax. Cao Mei wouldn't be relevant until much later. I'll go mid to stabilize the lane, Wan Mao said. Wei Xiao, go back after you clear the wave. NXG loves punishing positional differences. Don't get caught, someone warned. Wan Mao knew they couldn't drag things out. If he didn't go mid now, LeBlanc would come looking for trouble elsewhere. While NXG's bot was forced back to base, Ezreal could still farm safely and had windows to roam. Ruo Feng, just back at the fountain, reported quietly, LeBlanc doesn't have Ignite. Flash, both his and mine are up. We 4. No, 6 on the map. On NXG's side, Shi Zhenyu, fresh from ganking top, saw Blitzcrank missing from bot and offered, Mingi, I'll help you countergank. No need, Stone. Recall and buy Sorcerer's Shoes, then go bot and dive Ezreal with Annie, Jiangming replied. Let Blitzcrank come. We'll just kill him and take Dragon. Heh, don't worry. I'm with Mingi. If Blitzcrank shows, he dies, Song Yuan said, trailing behind LeBlanc from the fountain. Controlling Renekton, Song Yuan lingered. The top wave was fine, so he wasn't rushing back. Junglers don't have the monopoly on ganks. Sometimes top laners can roam halfway around the map to tank damage for the mid's big play. You don't have flash, so you'll start later. I'll bait them, Jiangming said, checking the needlessly large rod in his inventory and planning the ability chain to leave Bubby Wee's jungler and support behind. His Deathfire Grasp still needed a lot of gold. LeBlanc wasn't building a Chalice or Athene, she was an assassin who needed raw magic damage. In this patch, nothing beat DFG's instant kill potential for a mage assassin. Good thing Blitzcrank had gone mid. If Diana had been alone under the tower, he might need effort to kill her, but with support enabling, Ruo Feng could farm with a bit of bravery. Half a minute later, tragedy struck simultaneously in both mid and bot. At bot, after Juan Mao left, Ezreal found himself in a 1v1 with Corki. Confident in his mechanics and with a health lead, Ezreal finally made up for earlier pressure, harassing Corki with Qs while last hitting. But his decision to Q for harass instead of using it to secure cannon minion caused a slow push. The wave hung awkwardly. Wei Xiao, eyes on the minimap and noticing Blitzcrank nearing mid and about to recall, repeated an old mistake. He A-clicked the last minion for the gold, then tried to recall in safety, but he didn't move far enough back. He turned, hid in brush, and tried to recall on the spot. Xu Jing, now level 6, routinely fired a poke missile that unexpectedly revealed Ezreal in the brush. Holy stone, quick, 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 quick. Interrupt his recall. Dive him, Wan Mao urged. Elise with Sorcerer's Shoes and Annie with Boots of Swiftness zipped from the jungle to behind the purple turret. Both teams saw them at the same time as Blitzcrank's approach, and the director panicked over which lane to show. Wei Xiao's interrupted recall had given up his safety. He tried to retreat toward his tower to finish recall, but he was too slow. Elise, who still had flash, exploded from Tribrush with E first and hit Ezreal. How much burst did Elise and Annie have early? With a full combo, even before Corki could respond, Ezreal was down to 1/3 HP. With 3 players collapsing, escape was impossible. Ah! Elise's E was decisive, no vision, so Ezreal couldn't dodge. Annie, with Boots of Swiftness, arrived and followed up with a stun. NXG's Corki is dealing insane damage. Can he run? NXG's 3-chained perfectly. Ezreal gets locked down and dies. NXG, Norsha killed WE, Wei Xiao. Meanwhile in mid, a normal minion wave pushed into the tower, and Diana stood under it at full health. She only dared push out once Blitzcrank walked by, and even then was cautious. But LeBlanc seemed not to notice Blitzcrank at all. She went brute force, mimicking and stomping straight forward, double Q into E. All 3 abilities landed, and Diana's health collapsed like an avalanche. Just as the minions died, Ruofeng finally hit 6. The 2 who had been holding the lane suddenly felt a killing intent. Go on him! He's got no mobility. He used all his spells. Wan Mao activated his rocket grab speed boost and charged toward LeBlanc's W mark. Ruofeng, desperate, used his Q and R in split seconds. QR! Buzz! To make sure Blitzcrank's knockup would land, even knowing LeBlanc's 3rd ability was a chain and she couldn't mirror W to escape, Ruofeng used his E a hair early. The pale power of the full moon surged. LeBlanc was pulled back a little, expression a mix of mockery and contempt. Appearances can be deceiving, she seemed to smirk. Thud, the sound of the magic chain's root echoed. Immediately a 2nd chain flew from the Black Rose leader's hand and latched onto Blitzcrank. Piltover's Hextech invention? Wan Mao muttered. You're mine! Just as Ruofeng's E had pulled LeBlanc and Blitzcrank closed in, a massive Renekton suddenly leaped out of the brush. Ha ha! Everyone must die! Slice! Dice! Ruthless Predator! Tyrant Swipe! 2 spells shoved Renekton up to LeBlanc. Song Yuan poured his abilities into Diana's head, not caring about stealing the kill, but then he heard a calm voice. You can take Diana's kill. Zhang Ming landed an auto, then closed distance with Blitzcrank while moving away from Diana, who still had flash. The top laner had come all this way to counter-gank. Ethically and logically, Jiang Ming gave him the kill. Combined chain slows and Blitzcrank's rocket grab left the support helpless. On-screen Wan Mao's face went grim. He'd calculated everything, but hadn't expected NXG's Renekton to be waiting mid like LeBlanc's dog. Song Yuan didn't like being called a dog. When he counter-ganked, did Mingji owe him gold or kills? The fatter mid gets, the safer split pushing later, Summoner's Rift relativity. He didn't delay either. Diana was rooted after QR, and Song Yuan finished her off with an auto. Flash still couldn't be used. Xiaomi, 2 chains from left and right, Diana was constantly controlled and rooted. JM's focus from the start was to take down both WE's mid and support. Blitzcrank grabbed LeBlanc, but Wan Mao had already spent his flash on the earlier gank. He can't escape, Wawa shouted. NXG, Norsha killed Wii, Messiah. NXG, JM killed WE, FZZF. Kill announcements came one after another. Blitzcrank had initiated and paid for it. LeBlanc hit him with a chain and he had no choice but to return to Fountain. Zhang Ming didn't pass up the 2nd kill either. Renekton needed gold to stay dominant in top, and LeBlanc needed DFG money. Earlier DFG would be a qualitative upgrade. After assisting Renekton, Jiang Ming waited for his Q cooldown and grabbed Blitzcrank's 300 gold. Hey Mingji, why was only Wii's support there? I thought jungler and support would come to help you, Song Yuan joked. 2 against 1, Song Yuan had full confidence that his Ming-Ji could toy with the opponent. He'd come mid in case of a 3-man collapse, but he didn't see Ming Kai once. A certain Lee Sin, following the coach's tactics to camp Renekton top and protect Jax, ended up camping for nothing and silently gave a thumbs up. Silence. On Dui's bench, Wan Mao sighed deeply. Ruo Feng stared at the screen and slumped in his chair, as if thrown back to 2010 when he'd once missed a Shadow Fiend ultimate on a minion. Retired from Dota for 2 years, was League going to do this to him now? The chat erupted. Outrageous. Mid-jungle combo, 1 death, 1 feed, truly spectacular. Mid lane has become a death field. Anyone who comes dies. I didn't expect Renekton to skip top and come mid to support. This is the charm of the minion wave. Why rush when Weapon Master hasn't even pushed his wave? No, Ruo Feng. Are you saving Flash for New Year's? Ancestral Flash, haha. Why aren't you blaming JM for not flashing? Enough, stop scolding. I'm not worthy of Lord JM's full attention. It's that classic segment again, waiting for Wei Xiao to develop. Why is this so funny? Just laugh. In this game, Wii's bot also messed up and they're at a disadvantage everywhere. Where was Wii's jungler in mid-jungle play? Useless Ming Kai, didn't gank when needed, and didn't protect those who needed protecting. In under 10 minutes, aside from the jungler, the other 4 WE players had died one after another. NXG completed the dive and immediately stared down Dragon. With a 5-0 kill disparity, the economic gap was obvious. Wii fans tried to console themselves. It's okay, Wei Xiao only died once, and his CS isn't far behind. Right, the Trinity Force plus Manamoon Ezreal builds fast and hits hard mid-game. As long as Wei Xiao develops, team fights will be easy. Casual observers scoffed. Do you forget who popularized Trinity Force Manamoon Ezreal? And had JM ignored the short-range lineup? Later events proved the casual viewers right. Many fans didn't expect Wii to be beaten so badly. Those who'd been optimistic about Wii today called it a nightmare. At 11 minutes, Jiang Ming, with 2 kills and 104 CS, finished his first big item. Returning to lane with Deathfire Grasp, he was instantly threatening. Diana refused to come out from under tower. A Spider Ward spotted Lee Sin in F4, no problem. LeBlanc simply crossed the minion wave, activated DFG, then QRE with a W mimic in the air to extend E and finish. Splat, full health Diana was reduced to a sliver. Ruo Feng, startled, hit W and flashed at the same time. Oh my god, what kind of damage is that? A 2-level gap, can it really be that much? Wawa's scalp tingled. Diana even had a Negatron cloak. Instant nearly full health kill? DFG plus a perfectly executed QRE combo triggers 2 mark explosions and Deathfire amplifies the damage, Xiaomi explained, noting DFG's cooldown was already up on LeBlanc. What kind of hand speed is that? You can't do that unless you've been single for 20 years. Is JM so good because he's never been in a relationship? Ruo Feng getting scared into flashing. That's hilarious. Good news. Ruo Feng used flash and didn't die. Bad news. He probably wouldn't have lived even without flashing. The damage is decent, Jiang Ming said casually. Xu Jing almost choked. You call that decent? Diana with Negatron plus W almost got one shot at full health. If this were an AD, would it have been an instant vaporization? Jiang Ming wasn't in a rush to punish Wei Xiao bot. First, Ming Kai's Lee Sin was keeping an eye on him. Second, one of NXG's strategies today was to make Jax's top lane as miserable as possible. It was a bit harsh on Cao Mei, but selection for the All-Star match and limited prep time meant they had to prioritize. Diana was so low she had to base. With mid constantly forced back, killing her or forcing summoner spells was almost the same. Give up on the second dragon. Let's dive top, Jiang Ming pinged. After this wave, Pang Ran and Xiao Shu go mid to cover. I'll go bottom later. Roger. Mission accepted. Pang Ran and Xu Jing replied quickly. NXG's discipline and accurate lane swap judgment were their strongest weapons. Rhythm advantage isn't obvious in single plays, but it shows when the map resets and swings. Ah, here they come again. LeBlanc disappeared after pushing mid. Ming Kai guesses a bot gank. Wei Xiao and Zhuan Mao are retreating fast. But that guess was wrong. Wawa groaned. Xiaomi laughed. It's not surprising we guessed wrong. JM's bottom duo looked like they were hurrying to clear and dive. The ADC even intentionally missed a skill shot to give the cannon minion to Annie for stun stacking. Their acting skills look Oscar-worthy. With the jungler misreading the map, Cao Mei was isolated top and could only rely on the turret. Against a Zhu comp plus LeBlanc, the turret wasn't much help. Renekton popped Fury and ulti, Elise tanked tower shots. Whether Cocoon landed or not didn't matter. The three's damage was enough. NXG, Norsha killed Wei, Cao Mei. Jiangming and Shi Zhenyu both pressed S at the critical moment to hand the kill to Renekton. Run for it. Xu Jing and the others pushed their minion wave then retreated, not even bothering to contest Dragon. Mid lane was carrying the game, and minions were still for them. Xiao Song, you can safely play top against Weapon Master from now on. Absolutely. Watch my performance. Song Yuan cackled. I haven't tried high ground kiting yet. Renekton was 2-0-1 against a Jax 2.5 levels down. If Jax couldn't come back from this, Song Yuan might as well pack it up. The outer top tower fell. In S3 turrets were major objective gold and jungle gold was lower. Taking towers mattered. Elise could keep spending time top to babysit Renekton. I'll go bot, Pangran, Xiaoshu, you two stay mid. One Elise wasn't enough. Zhang Ming had Annie, with boots of mobility, follow Renekton. Back to mid. Ruofeng breathed out. Seeing the duo lane appear in front of him gave him relief. He'd rather face Corki and Annie than LeBlanc. You guys have to help me. I can't lane against Renekton anymore. Cao Mei pleaded in voice chat, freshly respawned. He knew this wasn't the time to be brave. Without help, Renekton could steamroll the lane. Should bot swap to mid then? Ming Kai asked the duo. One precondition for jungle support roaming is that the duo lanes stand mid so the ADC can quickly clear the wave and free the support. Wan Mao kept silent, looking at Wei Xiao. Wei Xiao hesitated, about to agree, when Ruofeng spoke up. I'll farm mid a bit longer. Going bot won't hold against LeBlanc's pressure. All right then. Wei Xiao, you have range. Just clear and retreat. Their attention is on top. Wan Mao left the fountain, bought boots of mobility, and split from the ADC. Oh, Douyi's made adjustments to counter NXG's offense. Smart. Diana switching to bot to lane against LeBlanc isn't great. Better to endure pressure mid. Wan Mao and Lee Sin are heading top. They really need to relieve Weapon Master. 2-0 Renekton is unmanageable. If Wei Xiao is left alone bot with his E and flash, LeBlanc will have a real hard time. Wawa babbled on, listing the theoretical advantages of Ezreal versus LeBlanc, as if NXG didn't already hold the map advantage, and as if LeBlanc's item wasn't Deathfire Grasp, but a stick. Jiang Ming cracked a brilliant smile. Wei Xiao still hadn't felt the full brunt of the assassin army or learned the hard-learned truth of AD positioning. Standing alone against a 2-0 LeBlanc is asking for trouble. Who's gonna save you? Your health bar? Game time, 13 minutes. The camera, which had lingered over upper map skirmishes, suddenly snapped to bot. NXG, JM had killed Wei Xiao. The director's hand speed was maxed, but still a half-beat late. When the camera locked in on the purple team's bot lane, only an Ezreal corpse lay under the Tier 1 turret. Outside the turret, LeBlanc casually took one laser tick of turret damage and walked away. Killing spree announced across the rift. What? What? Wei Xiao got instantly killed under turret? Chapter 114, looking only at data will alienate people. What? How did my big Easy just die? 1 second ago the camera was on bottom. Easy was full health. There's a cheater, brothers. Replay, I want the replay. Director, show the replay. Let's see what happened in bottom lane. Wei Xiao played cautiously. After Trinity Force and Sheen, he picked up a Phage and a Ruby Crystal for extra health. He cleared a low-health minion wave from distance, couldn't see LeBlanc's position, so he stayed under tower to be safe. Watching the replay, Wawa felt something was off. That couldn't be right. Ezreal was full health under tower. LeBlanc was yards away. Even with a displacement, the damage shouldn't have been enough. His doubts evaporated the instant the screen showed what really happened. Snap, the last purple minion died and vision went dark. LeBlanc's mimic blinked into the bush. Bang, the hero hadn't even fully landed before the quickness flared golden. W into the quickness, across thousands of yards like, I'm coming for you. Wei Xiao, I'm your fan. And then Deathfire Grasp's active hit, deals 15% of the target's maximum health as magic damage, and applies Doom for 4 seconds, increasing magic damage taken by 20%. Silence Mark Mimic. After those 3 effects, full health Ezreal was suddenly down to less than a quarter. Arcane Shift? The quickness, barrier, silence made them meaningless. As Wei Xiao twisted and dodged, Jiang Ming's fingers were already decisive. The first turret laser fell, and the magic chain flew forward. "Surprised to see me?" LeBlanc said, and vanished, returning to her original W mark while the on-screen chain stretched impossibly long. It passed through the Explorer and his health bar emptied, the screen drained to black and white. No big numbers, just pure skill, lightning-fast hands. The E-skill spanning half the screen became the fuse. In the arena, fans erupted. JM, 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 awesome, too damn handsome. After one combo, a full-health Ezreal still owes LeBlanc 200 HP. He had enough nerve to follow up with the quickness right after the first W, no regard for missing the E. If he'd had Ignite ready, he might not have even needed the E. Cue silence and that second explosion, unplayable. Live chat gaped at the display. We supporters watching Wei Xiao die a second time lost their cool. What is Dui doing? The jungler and support are babysitting top, ignoring Wei Xiao. Learning NXG tactics? But did you even learn them, right? Support roaming and leaving the AD helpless. Pathetic. Mingkai, are you blind? Who's supposed to carry this team? Let Cao Mei play safe, all right? Useless jungler, roaming all game. I admit the early rhythm was about the blind monk, but your world's #1 AD getting one shot at full health. How do you blame the jungler? Whatever. Stop ignoring Crocodile. Top can just steamroll through. With how fast LeBlanc killed him, unless your Blitz is a healer, it wouldn't matter if he were next to Wei Xiao. On stage, Wei Xiao leaned back, eyes unfocused, those comments echoing. S3 is the age of assassins. ADs matter, but they should be second carries. Second carry? What a joke. LeBlanc, on her killing spree, couldn't be stopped. By 15 minutes, NXG had demolished WE's mid and bottom outer towers. Mingkai and Wan Mao tried to fight back, but the gold gap was too wide. Even when Blitzcrank landed a blind hook on Spider Queen, they lacked the damage to finish her. Instead, Shi Zhenyu used Cocoon to force Blind Monk's the quickness out. Noyan's escape is absurdly strong, Xiao Shito exclaimed, watching Blind Monk ward jump and flash away every time he was engaged. In 15 minutes, he still couldn't pin him down. Meanwhile, Song Yuan's Crocodile had already pushed to the high ground. Blitzcrank and Blind Monk were split between stopping him and trying to protect Ezreal's farm. Song Yuan deliberately left the second tower intact, holding Crocodile between the high ground and the turret to deny weapon minions. Who needs teammates? Whether it was 2v2 or 3v3, in straight fights, they had the advantage. Mingkai saw Tom. Top couldn't even get minions and was about to call Diana and the rest to collapse with Wei Xiao's ultimate when a soft sound came over the comms. The Deathfire grasp had cooled down. Jiang Ming, sitting mid with 400 AP, burst out of the jungle and executed a long-range face roll combo. Deathfire grasp into W plus Q plus R finished off Ruo Feng under his tower at half health. Mijai's Soul Stealer. Wawa muttered at the caster desk, staring at the name suddenly etched on the empty tome. His body shook. The ramifications for club rivalry and all-star qualifications flashed through his mind. If WE didn't throw the game within 20 minutes, how would NXG act afterward? He didn't want to imagine. Time ticked, and alarms spread through the arena. LeBlanc's kill count climbed from 4 to 5 to 7. The blank tome filled from 0 to 20. As long as Deathfire Grasp was up, everyone on purple, even weapon, was in kill range at full health. We players often only saw LeBlanc for a split second before their screens went black. We went from 5-0 to 21-1. A double-digit kill disparity, not a single NXG turret lost, and the one Bui kill looked like it had been gifted by Annie while NXG was sieging. At 22 minutes, two different crowds filled the LPL arena. NXG fans flushed and ecstatic, we supporters hollow-eyed and stunned. Even the most stubborn DWE fans couldn't deny the display. Damn, I never get killed this much even in bot games, one said. Under WE's last mid-high ground tower, they refused to give up. Cao Mei's Corki activated his Valkyrie, Mingkai's Blind Monk ward jumped to flank, and Ruo Feng, finally with a Zhonya's instead of Abyssal Scepter, QR'd into the fight. Hope glimmered, and then, Wan Mao hooks! Ah! Corki flashed, dodged Blitzcrank's deadly hook, but Crocodile got pulled in. Song Yuan grinned darkly as Full Fury Crocodile landed on Ezreal's face thanks to Blitzcrank's life-saving hook. Brother Wei Xiao, I'm your fan too. He bit, tanked the first burst, spun his Q in the middle of them to hit multiple targets and heal himself. Xiao Shito's spider cocoon pinned weapon, keeping him out of range to interfere. Jiang Ming wasn't aiming for single target kills anymore. With such flashy items, he could do far more for his team. Puff puff, mimic plus mimic. 2 Ws slammed into the fight. Viewers on LeBlanc were even a fraction of a second late watching Deathfire Grasp fly onto Ezreal before the W hit. Then the silence mark and Q+E detonated. Chaotic under the high ground tower, but Jiang Ming still found Wei Xiao. Only the first W had been slightly off. Everything else landed. Ezreal was NXG's only real damage dealer in the purple team. Even 0-3, he mattered. He hit barrier as Crocodile bit him, but LeBlanc now had Deathfire Grasp, Magi's, and Rabadon's overflow damage. In under a second, the Explorer, who'd only fired one Mystic shot, was dead from the combined top and mid pressure plus BW's support. The crowd groaned and laughed at the same time. This is brutal. I think Wei Xiao won't want to play Ezreal for a while, or see LeBlanc in a lobby. Would Aegis of the Legion have saved him today? Bro, I envy your optimism. NXG fans started dissecting the win with wide grins. With Ezreal down, Wei's formation collapsed. Except for Ming Kai's blind monk, who escaped to the fountain, the rest were strafed in front of the Nexus. One push. Super minions were already on the high ground. After clearing mid, Jiang Ming pinged the Nexus, and NXG followed bottom minions into the inner turrets. 10 seconds later, Wei's Nexus exploded, NXG's 7th win, and a perfect streak for the newly formed pro team, catapulting them to the top. Wawa and Xiaomi gathered themselves on the desk. Congratulations, NXG. Congratulations for beating WE. After the game, Song Yuan peeled off his headset with a satisfied look. His Crocodile had gone in and out of the high ground 3 times. They couldn't touch him. Heh, massacred, Shujing scoffed. You did the Gaga, Mingy did the massacre. That's more accurate. Even if we concede 1,000 steps, Xiao Shito ganked well, someone said. I won't argue. You carried Corky like a dog. Xiao Shito, keep ganking next match, and I'll give you first blood in the siege minion. You can't just look at the numbers, Shujing protested. If you only look at data for team contribution, our Pang Pang would be the most disadvantaged. After 20 minutes, the 2 devils, Crocodile and LeBlanc, left little kill credit to others. Pangran packed up slowly, shrugging. Argue about stats all you want. When the club picks MVP, I'm not going anywhere. Jiang Ming listened to their bickering but didn't join in. He stood and waved to the fans, some cheering, some sobbing. In the WE area, the 5 players stared at the scarlet defeat screen, stunned and silent. Cao Mei's head hung, eyes empty, replay images looping in his mind. Weapon bitten, the quickness, Crocodile, spider, high ground. He knew the root cause sat with him. When Ming Kai jumped mid, he should have expected spider. He didn't react in time. His teammates were quiet. Ming Kai and Wei Xiao just stared at the screen. Ruo Feng, tears filled his eyes and his stomach turned. Congratulations, Bo-E, Wawa and Xiaomi had said on air. He couldn't make sense of it. He couldn't understand how his mid had been so thoroughly crushed. All from a minion wave? At level 1, he hadn't even touched the wave, and the enemy LeBlanc was already pressing him. He tried to replay the last 20 minutes. Level 1 skirmish, zoning at level 3, the tower dive, Blitzcrank's gank turning into a feed. There had been no room to outplay. If in Dota he blamed broken mechanics for his mistakes, now it felt like a cognitive gap. The thought slipped into him and stuck like a maggot in bone. Maybe I should retire after this season. The image of JM's live stream flashed before his eyes, and a ridiculous, half-sane idea bloomed. Maybe live stream and sell row song Bing pork floss bread on the side. Chapter 115, The Bible and Post-Match Blame. Hello, JM. During the post-match interview, the host Bao Bao greeted him with a bright smile. Please bear with me for today's post-match interview. Hello, host. Jiang Ming bowed slightly and extended his right hand for a light handshake. Bao Bao's eyes widened a little, fixed on the big shot who'd become a household name in the esports world. He greeted her the way any ordinary player would, casual, composed, unchanged by his other identities. Sensing her surprise, Jiang Ming tugged at the captain's armband on his left sleeve. He didn't hide his status as an esports player despite his other roles. On the contrary, that identity kept him grounded. It reminded him why he'd stepped into esports in the first place and prevented the beginnings of success from blinding him. The NXG club's cultural training, meant to steady and refine the players, was, for Jiang Ming, like a tonic. It sharpened his ambition and clarified his purpose. "Can I take a photo with you after the event?" Bao Bao asked politely, a little starstruck. Her instincts told her that in another month this player, already causing waves, might rise to even greater fame. Jiang Ming agreed. What was a photo but a snapshot in time? They chatted casually until the director signaled them to move to the interview camera. "Hello, Summoners. This is the post-match interview stage for the 2013 League of Legends Pro League Spring Split. Standing beside me is our invited guest today, NXG's mid laner, JM." Anticipating Jiang Ming's popularity, Bao Bao delivered the opening in one breath, not giving the crowd a chance to interrupt. Before Jiang Ming could even pick up the mic, cheers for NXG and JM crashed toward the stage, accompanied by loud clapping. Zhao Yang, the support team's leader, looked around at the sea of fans and quietly put his flag away. His leadership wasn't needed. NXG's fanbase had already mobilized itself. With a perfect first-round record in the LPL, NXG had so far only been troubled slightly by OMG and PE. Ever since JM had started playing, NXG had dominated the other teams with an imposing presence. Whether you were a fan or not, you couldn't help but respect a team that had stepped to the top so decisively. NXG combined strict discipline and battlefield ferocity with beautiful, thrilling play. Hard not to like. Jiang Ming accepted the applause without pretension, waving and interacting like this was more a fan meet than a press segment. Bao Bao, helpless at how to steer the show, took advantage of a quieter moment to ask the first question. "JM, you and NXG have 7 consecutive wins and sit atop the standings. Are you satisfied with that? Has it met the team's initial goals?" "I think the fans might answer that better," Jiang Ming said with a big smile, tipping his mic toward the crowd. "Satisfied," came one cheer. "Not satisfied," came another. The directly opposing shouts split the room and sent viewers in TGA's live chat into fits of laughter. Comments flashed. "Oh, JM got played. Classic scene. Fake fans. Heh, some satisfied, some not. Wonder how JM will reply." Jiang Ming kept smiling. He brought the mic back and said, "First, I'm very happy about 7 wins. Each victory is the best praise for the players and the best reward for their sweat and late nights. But 7 wins aren't enough. It's only a beginning, not an end. Top spot is temporary. NXG hasn't taken the championship trophy yet. I believe the pursuit of victory in esports never ends. Every time we step on the stage, our goal is victory. Victory is not the finish line. It's a new start that drives us to climb higher. All members of NXG will keep this hunger for victory, constantly challenge ourselves, and move toward the pinnacle. I tell my team to treat every match like it's their last, every performance like their last dance, because you have to consider that might be the only chance we get in this life." He stared into the camera with burning eyes and a solemn tone. The live chat exploded with praise. "Well said. This is why university students have an edge over internet addicts. Reward your effort, but don't be complacent. Esports never ends. Treat every match like it's your only chance." Bao Bao, who'd hoped for a simple warm-up question, blinked. She'd expected players to avoid grand statements. She hadn't expected such a golden line. Her follow-up had to be about the game itself. This question came from a viewer on TGA. After the patch, NXG was one of the first to shift strategy toward top mid-jungle focus, and other teams have followed. What's the key to that strategy? When it came to game theory, asking JM was like waking everyone up. Many pro players in the audience leaned forward, eager for his analysis. "Calling it a top mid-jungle strategy isn't quite right," Jiang Ming began. "It's more accurate to call it a mid-and-jungle strategy. Because Baron spawns at 20 minutes, top lane has less early resource importance than bottom, which controls the dragon. So why do teams still invest in top early?" He explained plainly. "Watch my tutorials. Top scales faster than bottom. One item and some boots give significant combat power. AD carries in duo lane share experience and are often behind solo lanes. They need at least 2 items to impact the game. So teams focus early on top where the payoff is faster. Who makes that investment possible? The mid and the jungler. The jungler is a flexible free agent, ganking, counter-ganking, controlling resources. The mid, sitting centrally, can influence top, bottom, and jungle, coordinating with the jungler and dictating early rhythm. If you want the key to top, mid, and jungle play, it's the mid lane. Chat reacted. Understood. JM, if the mid loses, the whole game collapses. If the mid feeds early, the jungler is forced to react. Season 3 was assassin heavy, and a Fed LeBlanc is terrifying. We fans seized on that. Many pinned the loss on Douyi's mid, Ruo Feng's terrible mid play. Comments grew harsh. Retire, you were a Dota noob, and you still got slaughtered in LOL. How did that jungler who talks so much in ranked become invisible in official matches? Nonsense. Our pig farm's 1-1 stats were the best, a fan protested. Stats don't tell the whole story, someone else countered. As the forum debate heated up, Bao Bao asked a sensitive question. Today's opponent was LPL champion WE. Did you expect such a smooth victory? Backstage, she'd almost asked to drop it. WE was the LPL's representative in international competition. The question could paint JM as arrogant. Zhang Ming understood the politics and the implication. LPL higher-ups were putting the spotlight on him for traffic. But he answered carefully. Our coaching staff prepared thoroughly, so we weren't surprised by the result. We were IPL 5 champions. Teams like IG and PE study them. To go further, you have to beat last season's strongest. The meta shift hit WE hard. They've built a mature tactical system around global support and late-game AD carry dominance. The faster mid and jungle roaming and early small-scale skirmishes that the meta favors aren't things you can change overnight. We're simply walking the path WE once walked, becoming champions, being studied, adjusting. Win or lose, it's part of the cycle. Some viewers cried arrogance, cocky after one BO1 win, while others praised the humility. The audience below debated loudly, but it didn't derail the interview. Bao Bao asked 2 more opponent assessment questions. Zhang Ming answered confidently. With his fan base, as long as he wasn't slandering Gowei, he was safe. Last question. The 2013 Shanghai All-Stars selection is ending soon. You have a strong chance to represent the LPL. Anything to say? Zhang Ming looked toward the west side of the stage where NXG supporters stood with signs. He clenched his right fist to his chest. Definitely. I won't let you down. The glory of the LPL starts now. The interview wrapped. With staff help, Zhang Ming posed for photos with Bao Bao and spent a moment giving thumbs-up gestures. Afterward, to celebrate the perfect first-round record, he and his teammates lingered outside to meet fans who'd stayed. They handed out a few signed jerseys, calming some players who were annoyed that merch hadn't hit the online store yet. On the bus back to the team base from the Taikang venue, the mood was lively. Xu Jing pulled out his phone and started a playlist. 7 wins in a row were one thing. The other was that they finally had a short 2-day break. The practice room would be locked, outside activity had to be reported, and no internet cafes allowed, a holiday intended to prevent bad habits and keep the players rested. Even Optimus Prime needs some oiling now and then. Shito, what are your plans? Song Yuan asked. I'll go to a supermarket and buy things to send home, Shito replied. Take me, Song Yuan brightened. I haven't explored the area much. Xiao Wu, you coming? Wu Jiqiang waved a hand. No, I'm meeting a friend to watch a movie. A friend? Everyone suddenly quieted and turned their eyes toward him. Is it male or female? Wu Jiqiang rolled his eyes. Male. Tsk. Boring. Thought there'd be gossip. Meanwhile, the NXGWE match spawned a furious forum storm. Threads titled Champion Team Behind by Double Digits. Whose fault climbed the boards? Who was stacking at the second tower? Whose AD had full health? JM's catchphrases are already classical. Dewey fan, I'm speechless today. Mid lane's to blame, got treated like a bot by JM and died. Is this the world's #1 mid lane's real value? Top lane Cao Mei is next to blame. JM's top was grinning. He dared a gank and died. Wawa's to blame. Why didn't Cao Mei's first blood charm work? Bottom Wei Xiao guilty too. Blitzcrank roamed and the carry stayed greedy. Why not recall 2 steps earlier? Jungle and support less to blame, but still beasts among beasts. Everyone's guilty. They won a championship and got cocky. World champion, what are you bragging about? Fair point. JM said the championship is past. No point clinging to former glory. Marketing. After a title, they hold events and make money instead of practicing. Love seeing NXG crush them. New eras here. If these WE players occupy all-star spots, what then? True, If JM's mid is solid, Dewey could still take top, jungle, and bottom. Don't break JM's leg then. Check the votes. JM's all-star mid votes are steady. Help NXG get more spots. It's hard. Only NXG support doors votes are close to Wan Mao. If we vote support, letting Cao Mei go top seems wrong. Relax. Cao Mei just announced he's withdrawing from all-star selection. The community's speculation halted when Wui's top laner Cao Mei posted on Weibo, "I am sorry. Due to my physical condition, I need time to recuperate in May to return to full strength. After careful thought, I've applied to the league to withdraw from all-star selection. I've let down my fans and feel extremely guilty." Whether Cao Mei was genuinely unwell was up for debate, but his voluntary withdrawal earned him goodwill among casuals. Then two hot topics exploded across social media: NXG's important core tactics exposed and LOL coach recruitment. Do you know these questions? Inside the NXG office, Lin Jingyi pushed open Zhang Ming's door. CEO Zhang, our coach recruitment questions have been leaked. First things first, I got the 10,000 subscription badge. Thanks to everyone for your support. This chapter went through several revisions. I ended up using a mix of live comments and forum public debate to sort out the all-star positions. Otherwise, Wei Xiao's AD couldn't be moved, and jungler Ming Kai had to go, or the meme, "I need to prove I'm the world's #1 jungler," would vanish. So the adjustable slots were top and support, which fit Cao Mei's voluntary withdrawal as well. Next up is training teammates for the all-star game. If you have suggestions, leave a comment or join the discussion group. P.S. Top esports really are something, achieving a perfect losing record. Chapter 116, Examination Question. Controversying's Golden Body. Someone posted the examination questions from our coach recruitment online. When Lin Jingyi heard that from a few underclassmen who worked part-time at the school store, she went to check right away. What she found was worse than she expected. Not only had the questions been leaked, they were already trending across major esports forums. Overnight, the topic had shot up the hot lists, and another hot topic right above it read, "NXG crushed WWE with a huge score, and JM keeps delivering golden lines in interviews." She clicked into the thread and realized the poster claimed to be an applicant to NXG who'd memorized and copied the exam. The title was sensational, very UC Shock Department style. As a Diamond Master in District 1, the NXG coach recruitment test forced me into self-isolation. As I said, I'm a senior about to graduate. By chance, I saw NXG's recruitment notice for an executive coach. To be honest, free meals, room and board, and full benefits drew me in. I'm not bad at the game, Diamond Gatekeeper, so I applied on a whim. The morning of the written test at NXG was beautiful. Sunlight threaded through the canopy, birds were singing. I almost felt young again. And then, I got a set of questions like the ones below. Lin Jingyi's anger flared as she scrolled. Were the NDAs we made them sign for show? This'll need a lawyer's letter, she thought. She was about to take screenshots and hand them to the school's legal office when she noticed something odd. The questions in that post didn't match the coach recruitment test NXG had handed out at all. The forum poster's paper A asked things like, 1. Choose which of the following 4 mid-lane heroes has the strongest early-game roaming ability. A. Twisted Fate. B. Talon. C. Caedrel. D. Shadowstream Lord. Whereas paper B on the NXG site had questions such as, 1. From the screenshot below, organize the basic favorable data for our side: kills, deaths, assists, last hits, gold, vision control, and so on, including skill cast timings and movement paths. 2. Draw heat maps of both players' activity and vision from the NXG versus WE match. From a glance, the two papers could not have been more different, but Lin Jingyi was sure that the forum post was a garbled version of NXG's original, with only the hero examples swapped in paper A and everything else intact. She bristled, chest heaving, and then realized Zhang Ming was sitting beside her watching. He had been looking at the screen for a couple of seconds longer than was polite, and he cleared his throat. "Don't jump to conclusions," he said calmly. "Senior, please don't rush." "Are you saying I posted the exam in the thread myself?" she retorted, incredulous. For a moment she felt ridiculous. Her mood flip-flopped from anger to surprise to bewildered. After a dramatic change, she fixed Zhang Ming with an expectant glare. "Aren't you going to explain?" "Ahem. Listen," he said. It's true someone posted our recruitment questions and it caused discussion online. But what? The original poster's memory was rusty. He mixed up our questions, so I posted the correct version myself to prevent confusion. He spoke as if it were the most natural thing. In his view, recruitment test content inevitably leaks. Big companies had even been exposed for internal corruption over hiring. What was NXG compared to that? Since someone had already put something out there, he'd just polish and complete the content, adding a lot of tactical analysis questions as well. If we leave it half-baked, it just becomes reference material for other clubs, he said. That doesn't help us. Who said there's no benefit? Jiang Ming snapped his fingers. Do you really think that just by hiding the test we can hire effective coaches who understand BP and in-game tactics? That's true. I remember Luo Sheng and Mo Ziyeh scored under 70, and you still had to coach them in person a week before they started contributing. Exactly. The key isn't the questions themselves, it's the person who understands them and grasps the game. He tapped his temple and turned the forum page toward Lin Jingyi. Look at the comments. Skeptical, Lin Jingyi leaned in. The forum chatter was everything Jiang Ming promised. Part bemusement, part heated discussion. NXG club coach recruitment exam? No way. These are words I recognize, but put together, I can't make sense of it. So an internet addict who finally reached Diamond, want a gaming team job and have to take an exam now? Seeing the screenshots, as someone who crawled through civil service exam hell, I feel attacked. Damn, dead memories. Let's see what abilities NXG wants in a coach. Heh, I'm the tactical prince of Minnan. Game knowledge questions can't scare me. Are these questions even reasonable? NXG Electronic Sports Club. JM, are you sure you didn't mess up the questions? What kind of carbon-based life could invent this? Ooh, I'm useless. I can't even do question 1. Zed, Talon, Twisted Fate, Caedrel all have strong roaming. How do I pick the strongest? I know. Considering JM's constant talk about minion waves, the first question needs to factor in laning. Caedrel is weak early and has to let the enemy push waves into his tower. No roaming before 6, so he's the worst. Zed and Twisted Fate are similar. Zed needs his shadow to push early. Twisted Fate can push at level 1, but is weaker in fights and needs teammates. They're paired. You sly devil. Talon has the strongest roaming. Nice, upstairs. Brilliant. These NXG questions are interesting. If you really understand them, you might qualify as a tactical coach. Don't celebrate yet. Keep reading. Why is there a paper B? Are we supposed to gather that much data from one image? What's a heat map? I know what a heat map is, player activity across time. Haha. After paper A, you're arrogant. After paper B, you're humbled. Sorry, JM. I was loud earlier. There are people outside. I kneel to you, brother. So NXG's 7 wins aren't only management and discipline, the core is tactics. Even presetting 2 team lineups and arranging tactics across early, mid, and late game puts them ahead. I heard a coach said he had dozens of tactics. Should we compare them with JM's? As the comments piled up, Lin Jingyi's rising suspicion snapped into understanding. Her boss hadn't leaked the test. He'd turned the leak into a promotion. By polishing the exam and releasing it publicly, he'd created a filter that would attract players with real tactical insight. Those who could parse NXG's questions and answer Paper B's analytical items would naturally think of NXG first when considering a career in esports. It was also a way to keep NXG's public image consistent, standardized, tactical, and selective. As long as the hands-on tactical guidance remained in-house, other teams could copy the paper, but not NXG's coaching. Jiang Ming wasn't naive about prodigies. China was vast, and the odd-born genius could appear anywhere. But the test would sift for people with real understanding. I didn't just post on the forum, he added. I prepared a second move as well. He switched tabs to NXG's official blog. Lin Jingyi, tied up with store duties all day, hadn't noticed the club's new update. Jiang Ming raised an eyebrow. Want to see? NXG Electronic Sports Club, thank you for your attention. We are making a formal response to the online discussion about NXG's tactical coach recruitment. First, League of Legends LoL is a MOBA real-time strategy game. The clashes between heroes and contested neutral resources create a stage not only for players' mechanical skill and quick reactions, but also a battlefield for tactical thought and deep strategic understanding. If the 5 players on stage are generals unleashing their peak operations, then the coach behind them is the strategist who, with tactical depth and precise situational control, plans and directs. For a team, player strength and coaching wisdom complement each other. Lacking either, victory is difficult. Therefore, NXG invites talented individuals widely. We seek to solve the worries of players blazing the trail at the front. If you have sufficient game understanding or relevant abilities, regardless of rank, NXG has a stage for you. From today, our NXG talent recruitment plan will be permanently open. We also welcome all LOL players and fans to join the discussion. NXG has prepared generous rewards. Answer the corresponding questions correctly, and you can enter our raffle according to your account level. What are you waiting for? Attached, NXG Tactical Coach and Analyst Recruitment Test, reference paper. The post sat directly below NXG's pinned All-Star campaign link. It made Jiang Ming's intentions obvious. Lin Jingyi, seeing how deliberately the move had been staged, couldn't help but mutter, half impressed, half exasperated. No wonder everyone online praises you. In pure marketing terms, you probably outclass every business school in the country combined. Ahem, keep it low-key, Jiang Ming said with a modest cough. The release spread beyond the esports forums. Even clubs in the LPL took notice. A well-known account, Fist, forwarded NXG's blog and slapped on 3 likes, implying the LPL clubs were the first to understand LOL's true essence. Hot topics exploded. Esports club recruitment test. Discuss the difference between professional esports and casual gaming based on NXG's test. Whether you're Challenger or Diamond, this paper levels everyone. Riot likes. LOL is a mix of mechanics and tactics. How many points did you score on papers A and B? Insiders were shocked and outsiders curious. This team that kept topping trends looked very different from the gaming team stereotype. Players everywhere began taking the test and comparing scores. Many attached screenshots of their rank and NXG test results beneath the club's post. A striking pattern emerged. High rank did not guarantee a high score. Some Challenger players barely scored in the 20s, while some Platinum players nearly passed. There's still some correlation. Players under Gold scored poorly overall. Higher rank raises accuracy, but coaching rank doesn't need to be top tier to be real. It just can't be purely theoretical. Damn, after thousands of years you still won't let me go? Who's the opponent? Bai Chi. I got handed a rotten mess. Lianpo fought for 3 years. Logistics were a nightmare. When the frontline fight is necessary, you call me theoretical when I lose? In reality, you probably couldn't even command calisthenics for 3,000 people. Answer me. Although Jiang Ming hadn't included White Crescent's name in the first round of team recruits, he had published their scores. Seeing casual players score near 60 convinced Lin Jingyi the test worked. As the debate spread, LPL clubs dug into the questions. Some teams wanted to learn what made NXG dominant. Jiang Ming later explained the phenomenon in an interview. When you win a championship or perform outstandingly, the first people trying to understand you will be your opponents. NXG's opening round crushed the other LPL teams. Clubs hungry for revenge naturally want to find a counterpoint. At the very least, extracting lessons for their own growth is valuable. IG was one of the most direct. Wang Sikong publicly recruited LOL tactical coaches on Weibo and even called out Jiang Ming. At NXG, Electronic Sports Club, Brother Jiang, let's talk. If possible, sell me a coach for IG. That might be a little difficult. I'll pay extra. Deal. Meanwhile, back at Jinling University, the School of Management's dean's office held an entirely different conversation. Yu Kun sat across from 3 other gray-haired leaders. They were all past 50 and in high spirits. Ah! Old Yu, your student really is something, a slightly chubby man said, tea in hand. Like Sun Wukong, can't sit still 3 days without making a fuss online. Yu Kun smiled and shook his head. Beyond that, he's opened a shop by the school gate, learning the snack chain model. Brand building is underway. That's impressive, another man with a square face said. Snack chains are a big field now. Several companies are expanding fast. This kid holds youth attention like a trump card. Brand building won't be hard. It's just that store expansion is slower than those backed by multiple rounds of financing. So why did you call us here? The last man, wearing glasses and a suit, asked with a laugh. This young man has unlimited potential, Yukun said. Every move he makes in the emerging field of esports hits the mark. Ahem, who said he had no backing? Jinling University under Old Yu is his backing now, another joked. If I could supervise such a student, by the way, how about letting him be my doctoral student? You take the first half of his supervision, I'll take the second. Get out of here, trying to poach my student before I retire? The room erupted in laughter. The leaders agreed the boy's path was commendable. The higher-ups cared about the positive guiding influence he had over 16 to 20-somethings. They'd already launched a pilot program, much like the earlier experiments in Pudong. If NXG could win the All-Star event, it would provide strong public opinion support. If some 15 or 16-year-olds entering society could be cultivated in a standardized way like those in Jiang's NXG club, it would serve the public interest. Old Yu, someone warned gently, keep a close eye on your student. Don't let him go astray. Chapter 117. Training begins with the LPL All-Star team. Lin Ming was an ordinary office worker and a casual League of Legends player. Unlike the younger crowd who lived and breathed esports and followed teams and stars, his life left little time for that sort of obsession. He worked 6 days a week. The extra Friday overtime drained most of his energy. With only half a day to himself on the weekend, he usually just stayed home and didn't feel like going out. This was why he was still single. His little comforts were simple: a quick ARAM match now and then, watching streamers upload goofy highlight clips of troll champion plays, and laughing for a bit. He didn't follow the LPL. One evening he came home, full from dinner, and habitually opened a video site for some mindless entertainment. A trending video caught his eye. I Love Inventions. League of Legends Black Tech Dominates the Rift, Episode 1. The title alone grabbed him. He'd been a fan of the I Love Inventions series since it premiered in 2009. The channel's creator, JM, was well known in the LoL community. Lin Ming clicked. The cheerful intro music played, and chibi versions of champions danced across the screen. JM's logo flashed beneath the title. Lin Ming felt a spark of interest. He expected the usual tutorials, but the video was pure entertainment, perfect for casual players who didn't care about climbing the ladder. The intro mimicked the show's host in a comically dramatic way. Are you tired of ganking as Lee Sin and missing that crucial cue? Still frustrated by slow fingers that make you a beat late on ward hops? A young jungler from Bandle City only intended to master Lee Sin for fun, but through practice he discovered the secret to 100% accurate kicks. An absolute technique. Inventor, a ray of cold light, 10,000 Jiaoming. Invention project, movement speed bolt Lee Sin. Lin Ming laughed. JM was talented at this. If you ignored the league jargon, it felt exactly like a leaked episode of the variety program. The chat exploded with reactions. High energy ahead. Haha, front row. JM's hilarious. Who knew he could do entertainment videos too? What's the psychological terror this guy's unleashing on players? I got kicked back by this thing. No way. Saved the exclusive old man Lee Sin build. All-star votes cast. The video cut to gameplay. Lee Sin was in the river heading top. From the bird's eye view, Fiora on the purple team had vision and was pulling back. Viewers started trash-talking in the chat, grumbling that JM was making ganking harder for junglers by teaching enemies to be more alert. Then cherry blossom particles appeared around Lee Sin's hands, and he suddenly broke into a sprint. Before anyone could figure out why Lee Sin had bought a cherry blossom blade, a blue glow surged and his movement speed shot up again. Viewers barely had time to react as Lee Sin Wild rushed from the river, closing on a retreating Fiora at a speed rivaling, no, surpassing, Blade's dash. Then, Iku, Fiora, stunned and helpless, flew into Riven's embrace. Lin Ming, drinking water, spat it across his monitor. He laughed until he cried and quickly wiped the screen. Perfect. Lee Sin with Yumu's and the quickness. Call him Bolt Sin. The rest of the clip was pure comedy. Lee Sin activating speed items and kicking enemies from every angle. The chat loved it. That face-to-face kickback is so satisfying. Don't run, my darling. Yumu's cooldown is even shorter now. Mom, I won't mess up my ult anymore. JM's great. Us old reaction timers can still play Lee Sin. Brothers, let's go ranked. Wait, there's more. Jace plus Veigar? Bottom lane octagon trap? Never saw that coming. The video wrapped with the usual NXG online store plug and JM's JM Food Moment sponsor segment. Then JM added an all-star voting appeal. Casual viewers who didn't care about ranked still had votes to spare. JM hoped a slice of them might support NXG's players. He didn't expect miracles. 1 or 2 votes from the video audience would be a victory. If that still couldn't chip away at Wii's lead, then WE was simply unbeatable in popularity. Those worries turned out to be unnecessary. Before the All-Star qualifiers closed, 2 rounds of LPL matches played out, and WE's earlier advantage slowly crumbled. In the second round, NXG went undefeated. In the third round, undefeated again. The only difference, NXG found it harder to amass massive kill differentials against the now better prepared LPL teams. JM's influence had spread. His operational concepts, when to fight, when to avoid team fights, vision control, resource management, had sunk into team play across the league. With basic discipline and better fundamentals, other teams no longer suffered crushing lopsided defeats unless there was an enormous skill gap. NXG's dominance had other reasons too. Jiang Ming had deliberately pushed his team's difficulty to prepare for international competition. Beating regional teams by 20 kills didn't prove much on the world stage. Still, NXG's stability made even the most loyal WE fans hesitate. After 3 rounds, WE had only 14 wins and hovered in the middle. Their forum supporters started to drift. WE had built a brand before S3, centered on their IPL 5 title, an invincible image, and handsome players to draw fans. But now NXG's undefeated season and strong-looking roster made people switch allegiances. Wii's manager, Wang Xikong, panicked and launched a last-ditch campaign for PDD, WE's top laner. He even called NXG to ask Jiang Ming not to insist on taking the top lane spot, offering compensation to NXG's top laner, Song Yuan. Wang Xikong knew NXG's record was formidable. If OMG and PE hadn't targeted NXG's top twice, leaving Norsha struggling, PDD wouldn't have had the chance. But with NXG unwilling to bow out and Song Yuan determined not to leverage the club's fame for votes, Wii's campaign ultimately couldn't recover the early momentum. When the third round closed, the All-Star lineup was announced. LPL All-Star team, top lane IG PDD, jungler WE Clearlove, mid lane NXG team JM captain, WE Wei Xiao support, NXG team coach, JM assistant coach, WE Abu tactical analyst, White Crescent. Jiang Ming's efforts paid off. NXG secured 5 key positions: mid support, team captain, head coach, and tactical analyst. It was a milestone for his reform push in the LPL and an encouraging start for the Shanghai All-Stars. Shanghai, Fuyuan Hui, 6 in the evening. In a private room warmed by yellow lamps, 3 young men sat around a table, awkwardly waiting. PDD and 2 WE members exchanged stiff greetings. "Oh, already here?" "Same. You're early." The mood was strained. PDD felt odd sitting beside rivals he'd battled since S2, now about to share a bench for the All-Stars. Ming Kai tried to break the silence. "NXG not here yet?" "Not sure. They should be on their way," someone replied. "They're a bigger group. Traffic's always worse." "Where's Abu?" one asked. "He's in the restroom." Before the server could refill water for the second time, the reserved seats occupants arrived. Sorry, we're a little late." Their voices came before they did. The private room door opened. Jiang Ming led the group in, followed by White Crescent and Pang Ran, all smiling and apologizing. Abu returned from the restroom and dried his hands. With Abu, the All-Star 7 were finally assembled. Jiang Ming stood and shook Abu's hand. "Please guide us through the schedule." "You're too kind," Abu said, wiping his palm on a napkin. He didn't want anyone to think the WE coach resented being assistant to the All-Star head coach. It stung in a way. NXG's season had earned them seats, but Abu still felt he was the veteran coach. Being placed under a younger figure felt odd. Before Abu could dwell, the LPL director entered with a guest. "Come, let me introduce everyone. This is a leader from the Shanghai Propaganda Department. He came to meet the All-Star team and show his support." Hearing that, the room stiffened. The LPL director's presence was already imposing. Now a city official stood before them. The official, however, was friendly, in his 30s, and approachable. The director introduced everyone around the table. The official asked questions in turn, from Abu to the youngest, Pang Ran. When it was Jiang Ming's turn, the middle-aged visitor reached out and patted him on the shoulder. "Not bad, Junior," he said with warm approval. "To do so much this early in your career, No wonder your teacher praised you so highly on the phone." Abu listened, and something clicked in his head. He realized why he'd been made assistant coach. JM's talent, deep game understanding, and the results he'd produced justified it. Today's matchups had been ridiculous, but the league's push for discipline and higher-level play had finally taken hold. Abu sighed inwardly. After all these years, was it really so hard for the LPL to move in this direction? Chapter 118, Rebellious Phase. Zhang Ming was stunned. At first, he hadn't realized that the head of publicity, who had pulled strings behind the all-star call-ups, was his senior fellow apprentice. All he'd gotten earlier was a phone call from his teacher. The Shanghai All-Stars had to win. It was a matter of higher-ups' plans for pushing esports further. Failure wasn't an option. So he'd been surprised enough to discover that, in addition to being the all-star team captain, he'd been handed the role of head coach. A head coach title meant absolute authority over the team, something he'd assumed was the consequence of NXG's huge sponsorships and Tencent's commercial interests. He hadn't expected there to be another layer of influence from people he knew. Then he thought about it. Abu had the reputation of an international championship coach. Without external intervention, even with NXG's success and his own status as the national server's #1, it would have been hard to install someone like Abu as the Dream Team's head coach. Of course, that job didn't come free. That night, his senior fellow apprentice pulled him aside and spelled out the stakes. With great authority comes great responsibility. Taking the captain and head coach posts meant the Dream Team's success or failure would be pinned to him. He would also have to reveal NXG's true tactical core to several players. Abu understood that and accepted the assistant coach role instead of making excuses to bow out. There are no free lunches. Zhang Ming knew that well. On the surface, it looked like he and NXG were making big sacrifices. In reality, the tangible and intangible gains were massive. Besides, teaching doesn't mean starving the master. His tactics weren't just one level, they were in the stratosphere. The all-star roster assembled, Zhang Ming got straight to work. The next day, everyone began training and assessment at the centralized Tencent facility, and the scrims revealed a slew of problems. If you can't play, then get out. In esports, being bad is the original sin. Zhang Ming's voice cut through the practice room. What, you expect fans to shield you when you lose against an overseas region? Do you think your fans won't be the first to trash you then? He continued. If you cling to past glory and stop progressing, that's just foolish. World #1 isn't a title you crow about, you earn it. Want to see how you're playing right now? The Dream Team sat with heads bowed. Even PDD, normally the loud, carefree spirit from IG who joked through everything, was quiet as a mouse, eyes wary. Under Zhang Ming's multiple identities, former national server #1, coach who led a team to 3 flawless series wins, a millionaire personality, his authority in the room was absolute. To make matters worse for the LPL players, they'd witnessed that night how someone usually seen on TV had called Zhang Ming a fellow apprentice and chatted comfortably with him. That kind of connection broke the usual LPL habit of ignoring coach authority. They'd played 2 scrims. The bottom lane was the problem, and Zhang Ming didn't mince words. He focused his ire on the AD, Wei Xiao. I asked, Pangran, your support, ping Dragon, and told the team to recall, resupply, and prepare for a fight. Did you hear that? Heard it. Yes, heard it. Right, everyone heard it. Only you didn't. Are you even taking this seriously? What are you doing? Wei Xiao kept silent until the pressure got to him. I'm playing seriously. I just thought I could get one more wave of minions. You thought? Zhang Ming's patience snapped. His anger stacked instantly. What does feeling matter? Your AD dies in the fight because you stayed for minions, and we lose Dragon because of it. This is a 5-on-5 team sport, not a solo game. If you want to play solo, go home and queue up 1v1s. Wei Xiao's face flushed. He opened his mouth to explain, but Zhang Ming cut him off. Don't you me. Either listen and follow orders during fights, or leave. Say you're sick and the region can replace you. I don't have time for attitude. This job is a responsibility. We don't do rebellious phase nonsense here. Half of the anger was real, directed at Wei Xiao's stubborn, self-righteous behavior. The other half was strategic. The rant wasn't only aimed at the AD. PDD and Ming Kai were on his radar too. Pang Ran barely reacted. He'd been scolded plenty during NXG training. Jiang Ming didn't punish the first time, he explained. Repeat the mistake, and he'd berate until they understood what professional meant. The Shanghai All-Stars had to be ready in half a month. He didn't have time for counseling sessions. If this level of pressure rattled someone, they weren't cut out to be pro. Wei Xiao wanted to stomp out of the room, but he thought about the All-Star promotion, about how the LPL organizers had stressed the event's importance, and he stayed rooted in his chair. Jiang Ming's threat of replacement unnerved him. He didn't move. Seeing him relent, Jiang Ming's expression softened. Among the Dream Team, aside from Ming Kai and Pang Ran, the rest were unprofessional in attitude. PDD had been used to IG's relaxed environment, but his emotional intelligence meant he wouldn't argue. Wei Xiao was the classic case, blinded by club marketing and fan adoration, distracted by dating and mobile games, clingy to his old solo mentality, greedy for minions, deaf to calls, an Uzi mentality taken too far. Fortunately, with his senior fellow apprentice's backing, Jiang Ming had absolute authority. If he hadn't, it might have taken him a few days to wrest control. Still, he was confident. The support was from his team. PDD had ties with Wang Sikong, and with a 3-2 majority vote and Ming Kai likely staying neutral, they wouldn't let Wei Xiao stage a successful rebellion. Wei Xiao's only saving grace was that, despite everything, he still cared about esports reputation. He wanted to prove himself and gain mainstream recognition. He wouldn't walk away from this all-star opportunity. "I'll talk to Wei Xiao," Abu said, stepping forward apologetically. He pulled Wei Xiao aside and left the room. For tactics, with Jiang Ming and White Crescent as assistants, the Dream Team's strategic framework was essentially set. Abu volunteered instead to handle the pep talk, psychological counseling, needed to calm the AD. Jiang Ming turned to the remaining three. "Let's continue the review." The pressure shifted to PDD and Ming Kai. "How many times do I have to tell you, when you're pushing a side lane alone, you must ward and check your teammates' positions? We're doing Dragon now. The opponents aren't visible. There's a high chance they'll gank you. Even a kid can figure that out. Why can't you? It's not that I want you always to fight. I want real one-on-one fights when you initiate. You need basic thinking. If your thinking's lacking, use the team's network. Focus on mechanics and let Pang Ran handle signals. But if you ignore the signals, you're responsible for the outcome. Don't tell me past IG habits. When we played against IG, NXG didn't even show half its strength." PDD rubbed his head. "I never thought that much before. Usually Sun Yalong would set some tactics. We'd play around the early levels, and then we'd just charge in. Last year against Wei, we could win by catching Wei Yao instantly. Now, facing you guys, it feels like my brain's going to explode." PDD adapted the best. A lot of that came from Wang Sikong's pre-arrival guidance and his own mental preparation. Then it was Ming Kai's turn. Jiang Ming's tone took on a teasing edge. "Ming Kai, why is your solo queue style totally different from how you play in competitive matches? And can you stop thinking about F4? 3 scrims, 3 times you missed teamfight chances because you were farming the 4th minion wave. You're a jungler. A jungler's job is to find opportunities. What does finding opportunities mean? In solo queue, your Evelyn builds Medjais and your Hecarim rushes Yumus. In competitive matches, you're building Kindle Gym and Cloth Armor. If you're going to be that passive, why jungle at all? Hide behind an AD and let someone else do it." Ming Kai protested weakly. Is that really wrong?" Jiang Ming went on. "If you're too soft, then why are you in the jungle? Sometimes AD has to go forward and deal damage. If you're the kind of player who ease backward during a Kennen 5-man ult, then we're in trouble." Jiang Ming's approach was purposefully aggressive. To turn these players into professionals fast, he knew he had to crack their existing mindsets. Breaking down old habits was the first step toward rebuilding them into a team that could think and act like pros. Losing here meant more than dropping a game. It meant failing in mindset, values, even status. The Dream Team, compared to him, had been overwhelmed on every front: knowledge, skill, mentality. Now wasn't the time for pride, but coaching wasn't only pressure. If Jiang Ming only yelled, he'd fail as a coach and become an unpleasant teammate. After the assessment and the pressure session, he immediately started to design the Dream Team's training plan. Skip extensive basic drills for now, he decided out loud. Give targeted pointers so there aren't glaring errors. There's no point expecting massive improvement in a short time. Then a sudden idea struck him. He almost forgot the simplest, most brutal method for clarifying the food chain in this era. "Oh," he said as he sketched in his notebook, "we can set up solo matches. Chapter 119, 4 PDDs with one shot. Dream Team, in-house solo tournament. On Summoner's Rift, top lane on the left side, 2 players faced off across the minion line. On the blue side, CNLPL PDD playing Renekton, the Desert Butcher. On the purple side, CNLPL JM Jiangming playing Jax, the Grandmaster at Arms." Jiangming had decided to run 1v1 solos to settle internal hierarchies. Titles, clubs, and reputation were all fragile. Nothing beat the certainty of beating a teammate at their own job. The all-star roster perked up when the head coach announced solo matches. PDD was especially keen. "Heh, Lao Zhang's great at macro, but on one-on-one, I won't back down," PDD typed, grinning. They sat opposite each other in the training room, set the room password, picked champions, and started a best of 3. Victory conditions were simple: first blood, first tower, or 100 CS. The rest of the team and Abao opened observer clients to watch. "Lao Jiang, don't be greedy," PDD wrote. "First game, you let me take top. Next game, I'll go to mid." He was joking about giving the mid main the top lane advantage, but in practice, everyone knew a solo win on the same role carried real weight. PDD bought a long sword and 3 potions and walked top, thinking about etiquette and bragging rights. Then he noticed, on his screen, Jax had already appeared behind him in the brush with Doran's blade and was auto-attacking a ranged minion to stack his passive. Was he in the bush? PDD muttered, annoyed. He didn't like being surprised at level 1. A top-tier challenger didn't pause. PDD started last hitting to build fury for Renekton. Jiangming didn't let him keep free stacks. After one ranged minion died, he attacked to make sure he could hit level 2 first and test whether PDD had leveled W or E. Renekton without fury is weak, so PDD had anticipated a level 2 fight and learned E to double dash for safety. "Not fair. You're even playing the minion wave in a solo," PDD taunted. Jiangming dropped the coach act and went into match mode. He hadn't needed to force anything with Jax. He expected Renekton to E away, so he avoided using his counter-strike early. Jax's plan was wave control, slow push, poke, stay safe. By the time minions died, JM hit level 2 before PDD. With the level advantage, Jax traded efficiently, auto, empowered auto, auto, forcing PDD's double E to be used defensively and landing a poke afterward. PDD couldn't stack fury and was pressured under minion aggro, so he had to back off. White Crescent, watching behind them, explained aloud what the crowd was seeing. Against Renekton, Jax's pressure point is level 1. Jax mustn't let Renekton reach level 2 or 3 unpunished. If Renekton gets fury, Jax loses the lane. JM hid in the bush to secure that level 2 from a ranged minion. Classic. PDD tried to fight back. At level 4, he got a little greedy for a cannon minion. Jiangming punished immediately with an auto-ignite and a burst, then used his mobility to exit tower range. PDD was stunned, chunked to half health, and had to recall, lose presence or stay and get dove. Jax walked up, took the wave under tower, and with a quick calculation used an auto, ignite, then a stun to finish the kill. Under his Warring Kingdom's skin, Jax beheaded the enemy and strolled out coolly. First blood to JM. PDD flushed, closed the client, then sent a new invite. "This time mid," he said stubbornly. 4 minutes later, they swapped. Jiangming picked Renekton and PDD picked Jax. The roles reversed, but the result didn't. PDD died in front of his tower before reaching level 4. JM2, PDD 0. PDD laughed, defeated. "I get stomped as Renekton by your Jax, and stomped as Jax by your Renekton. If you could clone yourself, you could run the whole All-Star by yourself." Jiangming kept inviting. "One more. I'll show you a champion that stomps other regions at S3 All-Star." PDD hesitated, then consented. He changed his locked Kale to Zac, tanky sustainy, and plopped back into his chair. Ming Kai declined a turn, smartly refusing to sandbag himself against JM's form. Pongran watched in mute dismay after Jace one-shot his Zac fragments. Everyone knew their limits. Only Wei Xiao remained. "No rift," he suggested. "Try Howling Abyss. 1 lane, you can't recall for items, and the fountain doesn't heal before death. Let's solo there." Jiang Ming had no objections. They entered blind pick, and to everyone's surprise, both locked the same champion, Vayne. Blue Team JM, Vayne. Purple Team Chao, Vayne. Both had the Heavenly Huntress skin. Two identical champs? Someone cheered. PDD perked up immediately. Both chose the same summoner spells, the Quickness and Barrier, and the duel began. After a minion wave cleared, Wei Xiao initiated with Tumble and an enhanced auto. JM calmly tumbled, stepped out, then hit an extra auto when Wei Xiao turned away. PDD, Mingkai, and Abao stared. How did JM get that extra basic in despite identical ranges? White Crescent and Pangran weren't surprised. Kiting with attack move fundamentals and managing minion aggro were basic for players like them. Wei Xiao tried to play aggressive again. He closed and traded AQA. JM matched him, but used Vayne's Q displacement cleverly. He moved into the lane brush while trading, and thereby avoided a chunk of minion damage. Wei Xiao got hit by minions, and the health difference opened up. Bush! Wei Xiao hissed. Then JM executed the classic Vayne combo. Level up mid-fight to 2, instant point picked on E, knockback, flash. Condemn into the wall plus the quickness, flash condemn. Wei Xiao slammed into the wall, stunned, and JM landed auto after auto during the 1-5-second stun. Wei Xiao, on Doran's blade, lost 2/3 of his HP at level 1 and conceded. He didn't try barrier or flash. The health gap was too large. JM took first blood and left the game, smiling. Wei Xiao stared, stunned. That was E-flash on condemn? Yes, flash the moment you cast E. It's a simple trick and very effective in bot lane skirmishes, JM said. Wei Xiao paled but absorbed the lesson. Mingkai muttered to himself, thinking about displacement tricks with other champions. JM clapped and moved on. He'd established his pecking order. Now it was time to train the rest. All-Star Training Day 2, at 10:30 a.m., with professional coaches hired by the LPL and Penguin Sports handling physicals, the Dream Team began their daily conditioning. The trainers were experienced. Jiang Ming talked with them about esports player health practices, while Abao watched, impressed and twitching. After morning exercise, they ate and went straight into the training room. While recovering, White Crescent led the team through bare item last hit drills. Basic but brutal. Media buzz about the Shanghai All-Star meant exposure, and everyone wanted to be sharp. Jiang Ming had revamped NXG's practice standards, 5 basic daily sets. 2 sets were bare item last hitting 100+ minions in 10 minutes. The other 3 included full item last hitting, timed item update last hitting, and pressured last hitting with a teammate simulating interference. The point was clear. Practice should match in-game demands. Abao couldn't help admiring the results. No wonder NXG players' fundamentals were terrifying. After LPL's third round, Wei Xiao's last hit mystique quieted. JM's regimen had lifted everyone's baseline to a level comparable to Wei Xiao, or beyond. Bragging about 10-minute minion counts felt stale now. Jiang Ming didn't hoard the knowledge. He publicly shared NXG's drills with other LPL clubs after the league agreed to more team exposure on the client. Compete. If you don't push to the limit, someone else will. He believed that if the LPL took training seriously, if teams learned and improved, Chinese esports would stop floundering against other regions. He refused to accept the complacency that had marked his previous life. The more they trained, the stronger the region would get, and he was determined to be the one to push it there. Chapter 120, All SSRs Are Mine. Wei Xiao, you go first, Jiang Ming said. He wasn't picking on him because of yesterday. The two were different heights, different tempers. There was no real grudge. This was pure training. Given Wei Xiao's excellent last-hitting record, he wanted him to try first. Wei Xiao nodded and took his place. White Crescent leaned over behind him, ready with the stopwatch. Your first task, Jiang Ming announced, is to play Doom in the bottom lane with no items and last hit over 102 minions in 10 minutes. 102 minions? PDD shrieked. Isn't that an insult to our classmate, Gao Shuicheng? Everyone knew that in S2 IPL5 group stage, Wei Xiao had last hit 107 minions in 10 minutes and 50 seconds as Vayne against lane interference. If he could do that with an opponent, surely he could do better now in a clean setup. Jiang Ming shot PDD a glare. Quiet. Wei Xiao entered a custom game and began. His fundamentals showed he'd trained similar basics before. At first he stumbled a little because Doom's attack animation and low base damage were unfamiliar, But after settling into the rhythm, he didn't miss a single last hit in the first 5 minutes. As the game went on, though, the difficulty of the drill became clear. Minion HP scales up throughout the 10 minutes, and with fixed attack damage, you must constantly judge minion health and adjust your timing. It required not only mechanical precision, but fine control of health bars. 10 minutes, 105 minions. Good, White Crescent recorded in his notebook. When Wei Xiao turned from the screen, Jiang Ming explained, "You probably know no-item last-hitting drills, but the key here is strengthening your ability to control health bars." Health bar control, another training term. It meant being able to read an opponent's health bar, control your own hero's health and damage windows, and master those subtle shifts through repeated drills. "I want to try too." PDD's hands were itching. He jumped into a custom game to start his set. "Coach, what about my training?" Ming Kai asked, a little eager. Junglers don't last hit like laners. He'd long been curious about NXG's special jungle clearing methods. Jiang Ming pulled a sheet from the table and handed it over. Ming Kai took it with both hands. "Current jungle camp respawn times?" "Exactly. You should remember the exact refresh times for each camp," Jiang Ming said with a smile. "No problem. Players above Diamond usually remember camp timers. The only difference is how exact they are. For the next few days, your basic training is this. 1. Figure out how to clear your jungle fastest with different champions. 2. After taking both buffs, ignoring ganks, invade the enemy jungle and steal at least 2 camps within the first 15 minutes. From camp respawn to your arrival can be no more than 3 seconds. 3. Coach Bai will set up defensive vision in different spots. You must learn to bypass it as much as possible without buying Oracle's elixir. You can't change someone's personality overnight, and converting competitive Ming Kai into an aggressive, map-control jungler wasn't realistic, but you can amplify strengths. Bypassing vision to gank was one of Seven Sauce's signature moves. Counter-jungling tactics like the later Snake Team's Vietnamese-style play suited a map-control jungler like Ming Kai. With the 3 members' tasks assigned, Pang Ran stared at Jiang Ming expectantly for tactical instructions. Jiang Ming rapped him lightly. "What are you staring at? Review the stuff you already know." He'd thought about picking mid and support as well. Improving a support required vision work and operational rhythm, time-consuming, and also part of NXG's tactical secrets, which Jiang Ming wasn't about to give away for free. By noon, the basic training blocks were done. Performance varied. Wei Xiao's foundation made him clearly better than PDD, who was too free-form and undisciplined, and IG simply had no concept of basic training. Except for a final drill, last hitting under tower pressure, where Wei Xiao was a bit shaky, all other parts were passed on the first try. It made sense. Wei's tactical core had always revolved around the bottom lane. Ming Kai ganked and counter-ganked frequently. Even the mid would often pick roaming champs to help the bottom half. Wei Xiao rarely played from a losing position, rarely had to last hit under tower. Pang Ran watched enviously. If Old Shu knew the basic training that once tortured him was really just a few adjustments for Wei Xiao, he'd be green with envy. PDD's training, according to White Crescent's notebook, was painful to watch. In fundamentals, he was, frankly, unqualified. Ming Kai, after trying the tactical style Jiang Ming designed in ranked games, brightened up. His flat, deadpan look got sparks in his eyes. Jiang Ming shrugged. "Let's put basic training on hold. After lunch, I'll go over some core operational principles." Basic training was only the appetizer. PDD immediately threw his mouse aside. "Order food. Order all the junk first. Eating is the best thing in the world." "It's a shame Ji Yan isn't here. He'd know what to order," someone said. Meals were provided by LPL operations, so lunch was being delivered. Ming Kai and Wei Xiao weren't as dramatic as PDD, but their breakfast snacks were gone, and they moved quickly. Pang Ran was pulled along by Abu to discuss vision details. Jiang Ming and White Crescent lingered, reviewing notes. White Crescent pulled out his notebook. "These are basic habits I noted for the 3 of them over the last 2 hours." "Old Bai, what is it, Mingji? Can you make these more detailed, especially after balance changes?" "Understood." Inside the training room, Jiang Ming spoke calmly, laying out his tactical construction for the LPL All-Star team in words the players could easily grasp. "Let's not talk about offline club rules for now. he said. Abu thought, don't skip that. Tell us how you keep these kids in line. But he kept that to himself. You don't ask another team's coach to give away club management philosophies. Just learning Jiang Ming's tactical concepts and training methods was enough. My first rule in game, Jiang Ming continued, is when the commander gives an order, even if you doubt it, execute it first. If you're told to fight, fight. If you're told to retreat, retreat immediately. No hesitating in place. Of course, discipline isn't that simple. For example, if we have a late game composition, the first 15 minutes might be pure farm. You must not gamble on let's just try it. You need a clear mind when judging fights. The worst thing is when half the team wants to fight and the other half doesn't, and you trickle in one by one like the Calabash brothers trying to save Grandpa. You've all seen that in the LPL. It's a classic what not to do. PDD, Ming Kai and Wei Xiao exchanged embarrassed looks. Both of their teams had been guilty of that against NXG during the season. Second, individual discipline shows up in details. For instance, you have a spell to clear a bush and you don't use it. Then you face check and get collapsed on. Or you have both summoner spells but you overextend and get stunned and focused. Those are signs of poor discipline. He used their own experiences as examples. PDD pushing solo too far, Ming Kai hesitating to initiate, Wei Xiao arguing too much. Disobedience of team commands, neglecting vision, refusing advice on champion picks, excessive recalls, and passive play were all common problems. Let's scrim. I'll explain the rest in game. Okay, coach. Abu brightened and pulled out a notebook too. The scrim team tonight is PE. Among the 8 LPL teams, aside from the disbanded WE, NXG and IG, the practice partners were primarily Royal Never Give Up and PE. LM and Dawn Wings weren't included. Those teams felt slighted, but never mind. Abu set up the custom room password. Don't make it something like 12456. Make it complex. Jiang Ming reminded them of an old EDG anecdote. Once a coach used 123 and a curious fan slipped into the scrim room. They caught him and kicked him out, but it could have been worse. In the lobby, the players joked in chat. P. Shika. Brothers, go easy on us. Heh, Shika, today your brother will put you in your place. Look at this. Only a few days with Jiang Ming and he's showing his true self. Jiang God, can I be an all-star reserve who just follows you around? I'm great at practice. Mingkai, your scheming is loud enough to hear all the way in Magic City. Not impossible. As long as you guys watch PDD's top today, everything will be fine. No problem, Jiang God. After runes and masteries were set, pick ban began. For training purposes, Jiang Ming had planned picks and bans for both sides. Blue team, Elpurim team, Jace top, Lee Sin jungle, Orianna mid, Varus Plazyra bot. Purple team, Renekton top, Elise jungle, LeBlanc mid, Ezreal's Nami bot. A top and jungle Animal Kingdom combo. Do we really need that? PDD muttered when he saw Jace. Jace top is vulnerable to ganks, but early he can use range to trade and pressure. That makes him an easy gank target, Jiang Ming explained. Also, your anti-gank sense is weak, PDD. Against strong teams, you can't expect the jungler to take every counter gank. Rift resources are limited. If one lane hogs them, others will starve. PDD didn't catch all the nuance, but he understood the point. Improve his anti-gank awareness. Elise, bring it on. Who's afraid of Elise? 15 minutes later, PDD sat at 0-3. The top lane had been repeatedly ganked. Even so, the LPL Dream Team held a solid overall advantage. In mid, Jiang Ming's Orianna suppressed LeBlanc under tower and coordinated several plays with Ming Kai's Lee Sin. A level 6 Orianna ultimate pulled in Elise, who was counter-ganking bot, and Wei Xiao turned that into a triple kill and snowballed out of control. Ming Kai kept glancing at mid, stunned. Beyond the mechanics, the ball Q, the R-flash dives, Janya's clutch timings, what amazed him was how Jiang Ming, on Orianna, not only avoided being dominated by LeBlanc, but kept lane priority and always moved first. It was either Ming Kai, let's go bot, or Ming Kai, come invade Elise's jungle, or X-buff is spawning, invade now. He just kept invading. A scaling mage playing like a roaming assassin. Ming Kai couldn't imagine how Elise was supposed to play against someone who kept collapsing from mid. Wei Xiao felt the same. Jiang Ming didn't just zone mid, he transferred his advantage to teammates, handed over kills and gold when necessary, and drew enemy attention so his carries could output safely. He roamed, he farmed, he shot called. He wasn't selfish. Everything he did aimed at winning. Wei Xiao's stubbornness quietly softened. If he had to pick teammates, he'd take Jiang Ming first. And NXG's support, his vision and jungle control was perfect. Wei Xiao had never had such a smooth laning experience. Don't rush. You absolutely cannot rush in games, Jiang Ming said into the comms. Lao Pu, you can't stay silent. Voice what you want to do, where you're going, what enemy abilities you saw. Feedback is vital. Process the feedback immediately. Facing PDD's miserable top lane, Jiang Ming comforted him while drilling in team communication basics. Ming Kai, you must update your teammates on the enemy jungler's movements by watching camp respawns. Winning lanes should actively trade and call for ganks rather than passively wait. In teamfights, call out key abilities and items. When placing wards, communicate so you don't give the enemy an opening. Lack of communication not only causes gameplay mistakes, but breeds interpersonal conflict. Better to say things before they pile up. Jiang Ming was genuinely satisfied. If NXG's 5 starters were standardized industrial products he had produced, then PDD, Wei Xiao, and Ming Kai were handcrafted masterpieces. Raw talent who could, with guidance, reach terrifying levels. He felt a sudden urge, the irresistible desire to recruit every promising player he saw. After a little coaching, they improved so fast he couldn't bear to watch talented players struggle down the original timeline. They're mine. All mine. Adults don't make choices. They take them all. After the scrim came debriefing. PE's players stayed in the chat. Jiang Ming turned on his mic and pulled up the replay. First, pick and ban. On blue, Jace into Renekton gives lane pressure, and later, with Mana Moon and lethality, heavy poke. Lee Sin and Orianna mid-jungle have great synergy, Orianna's ball carrying in fights. Bot, Varus Q gives long-range poke, Zera anchors against hard engages. Purple side, Elise has powerful early ganks. LeBlanc roams and assassinates. The right side has short range but planned damage. Ezreal is the secondary carry. LeBlanc and Ezreal poke pre-fight, and Nami's ultimate can serve as both disengage and hard engage once health bars are low. First question, how to focus both sides early. Sheikah, as PE's shot caller, you understood the comp. At level 1, you had your duo lane help hit the buff a few extra times, so Elise could hit level 3 and gank top before Lee Sin could react. Lao Pu, you missed that and got baited by Aluka's Renekton, giving first blood away. Second wave, you saw Lee Sin appear bottom and control Dragon with us. After using EQ, the correct move would have been to retreat from tower. Elise's tower diving ability shouldn't have surprised you. Jiang Ming paused and took a sip of water. Now let's talk about the half-map principle. The half-map principle is a practical strategic idea used in laning and resource contests. With mid as the dividing line, you split the map into upper half, top and upper jungle, and lower half, bot and lower jungle. When a fight or resource contest happens in one half, teammates in the other half should make decisions based on the situation, using minion waves and map resources to gain an overall advantage. Like in NXG's game against OMG, Go-going won top lane, but the team couldn't extend the lead because they lost Dragon and Jungle Gold in the lower half. Ming Kai interjected with a sudden flash of insight.